The following is a presentation of iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
Live tonight from the Dover International Speedway, LSRTV. Happy to say good evening, Sim Racing fans, and welcome to the United Sim Racing BNC Lawn and Landscaping Truck Series Chase for the Championship. As tonight we head to Dover, Delaware for our first elimination night on this 2017 championship. First off, happy to be with you tonight as always. Myself, Evan Pasoko, topside with Austin Coop, and downstairs the lovely and talented Cisco Scaramuza, twisted and tweaking the dials and bringing us to you tonight on iRacing Live, as well joining us on Facebook Live. And Coop, we come into tonight still with a 12-driver championship picture. Next time we talk with everybody, that will be only 9 drivers. 3 people going home after tonight's race, and it is tight, a 2-point gap between you're in and you're out right now.
Yeah, it's not like the more recent chases where if you win, you're in. You got to win on point, or you got to get in on points. The top 9 on points. So those drivers that missed races earlier in the 3-race portion of, or the 2-race portion of so far, Justin Michael and Jamie Walker, they are down 1 race and are very, very far out of the points. It's not impossible for Jamie Walker to make it in, but for Justin Michael, it is a little bit more bleak. Still not impossible. They can get on some bad luck from some of these guys, but it's going to be really hard for those guys to get in. They really have to win the race or get the top 5. Top 3 would be the best for both of those drivers, but even then, they really have to bank on some bad luck from some of these other guys.
And obviously, the biggest person that this not win and you're in situation hurts is Jamie Walker. Chatted with him just 1 week ago as he got the win from New Hampshire, but we also talked with him at Richmond, the final race of the regular season, and he told us that he would not be able to make Chicagoland, which means that he would have to get enough points at rounds 22 and 23 last week in the second race of this round, and then tonight at race number 3 to be able to get into the top 9. If there is any round where that's possible, it's going to be the first round, because we're cutting the least amount of drivers, taking a quarter off of the chase field. But he got the win. He did everything he could. He could very well, though, get the win here tonight, Coop, and still not get it up, because into tonight, as you saw in the championship standings, he's out by 15 points. I think that as much as Walker's going to be in the picture, unless Dunn and Kleber in front of him have problems, Walker's out of this thing. He can win the race. They can get a decent finish and still be saved. So I think it's more of a battle for us to watch between guys like Steve Herring, Aaron Bennett, Dwayne Dunn, and Justin Kleber, and then Walker, kind of an afterthought if things start to get a little bit crazy.
Yeah, and Walker and Michael have been such dominant drivers throughout this season. It'd be almost a shame for those guys to have really big problems at this stage in the championship. It's only getting started, really, but it's gonna end for 3 tonight. That's gonna happen. There's gonna be 3 upset drivers, upset teams, and there's gonna be 9 guys that are gonna be, preparing for the next one. Really, the battle goes on. You win for just a little bit on this cycle, and then it's really back to the grind, because you don't really get to you can't really get ahead in this game. You will continuously have cuts, and you'll have to continue to try and be above that before it's all over. And if you're at the top at the end, it's going to be a good, but it's still not going to get you that much, because everyone's going to get reset after each and every round until the final race.
And something else that's also very viable to note is that we have a fantastic field here tonight. 31 drivers up to going to be able to come and take the grid. So your race leader in the championship is only 22 points above 8th place, and that's Scott Simley. So, well, yes, we're going to look at the guys just above the cut line. We're going to be talking most about the guys just below the cut line. Mathematically, nobody is safe, coming in to tonight. Again, you can make sure you know who the chase drivers are on the top of your screen on the ticker. They will be with those yellow numbers, and you can also see those yellow numbers on the sides of those trucks. With that being said, practice and now qualifying have drawn to a close. Let's send 3 drivers home. We go trackside and take a look at tonight's LSRTV starting grid. Pole position going to be one of the non-chasers. Ashton Crowder will qualify with a 22.897 to start on pole. He will be joined by Aaron Bennett, +6 on the transfer spot, coming into tonight 8th in the points. Justin Michael, Jamie Walker, both of them need good nights. The 3rd and 4th in qualifying. Dwayne Dunn is top 10.
Jason Jacoby, non-chase driver, starting 6th with Seth Foudy. Right behind him, still going to start 7th. Dwight Beverly will start in the 8th position. Robert Gillenwater, he's going to start 9th. And Scott Simley, he's your points leader. He'll start in the 10th position.
11th spot tonight, going to go to Ralph Vander Voorste with Shane Hawthorne to the outside of 06 in 12th. Michael Waters is in the number 13 spot tonight. Ricky Howell Jr., no time to practice. Good enough for 14th in Q, and final time in qualifying, 15th, Randy Oakham.
Tommy Ryan on back. Provisionals all for them. He'll start 16th. Randy Tesser. He'll start 17th. Greg Mall. 18th. Justin Kleber is going to start 19th. Bobby Harmon will start in the top 20.
Continuing on through the provisionals, 21st for Michael Atkins Jr., 22nd is Michael Priester, 23rd Brian Cutts, 24th Skylar Grissom, and Michael Wade, 25th.
Rounding out the rest of your field will be Michael Ward. He'll start 26th. Jeff Ryan, 27th. Tristan Beats, 28th. Scott Formosa starts 29th. Steve Herring starts 30th. And the last car to start the race will be Dylan Phillips.
Less than half the field tonight takes a time to qualify, and as we pace down the back, let's talk about the Dover International Speedway. 1 mile in length, 24 degrees of banking, but that doesn't tell half the story. This place referred to as the Monster Mile. It has a fair amount of space, but it can bite you if you're not up on your toes all night long. We've got 200 laps, 200 miles, start to finish. As we close out the opening round of this USR Chase for the Championship, we're so happy that you're joining us tonight on LSR TV and iRacing Live. The iRacing.com official pace car going to dive down to the Wayfield in the hands of Ashton Crowder, who takes off and gets go at American Ethanol. Green flag, we're racing for the Dover 200. No challenge for the race lead off the green.
Yeah, I think an unexpected start by that 27, and you're seeing 2x2 right behind him. Look at the 87 on the bottom. Already has a position over Aaron Bennett. Aaron Bennett doesn't have a lot to lose, but still can't have a bad day. And he's got Jamie Walker right behind him in the Oreo Chevrolet. And look at that 87 of Justin Michael just go. He is ripping those guys behind him apart. He's getting a really good run, and he's already going to start chasing down our race leader of Ashton Crowder before we know it. And he had a huge lead on that start, so really good for that 87 on the jump.
Yeah, trying to get off and away. Needed a good job of maintaining that number 2 spot. Oftentimes, you can see the driver, from that outside lane of the racetrack be able to put up a good defense, but Michael hustling forwards, talking about the uphill battle that Jamie Walker has. Well, Justin Michael needs nothing short of a miracle. It is first through 9th in the championship. We're separated by 22 points. He alone is 19 points away from that 9th spot. He comes into tonight at the very bottom, missing to start. So you just got to go out and win. Just hope for the best. Same with Aaron Bennett. And so far, those 2 drivers doing pretty good. Kleiber in the middle of the pack, not as smooth right now for the 93, who runs in 16th. Those are the 3 drivers at the start of this race that would be sent home.
I just watched Dwayne Dunn, a championship driver, make a really classy move, but I think it's more or less a smart move for that guy. He let the number 1 of Jason Jacoby by. A driver who's been actually really good at the shorter tracks, some more of the more mechanical-driven tracks that you really have to maneuver really hard around. He let him go by without hardly a challenge at all, and just decided, there's a humongous gap behind me, and there's that guy. He's a little bit faster than me right now, but no way is he going to try and ruin his championship hopes right now. So he's going to slide back to 6th, 1 spot lower, and he's just going to ride right now.
And it is a long way to go at, Dover. 5 laps now completed 200. And for as rough and tough as this kind of a track is, it wouldn't be uncommon to see us get a little bit spread out and run some laps under green flag conditions. I'll tell you what, though, Justin Michael is not content for second. Keeps the heat applied in the battle for the race lead. The 87 right on the deck lid that time in turn 4 and about half a length up the track compared to the 27. Really had it stuck down on the inside, and Justin Michael trying to find a way through, at least at this moment. Looks like he's got a good enough truck to contend with that 27 Crowder, but the more these guys up front battle, the more guys are going to get in the battle, because Bennett, Walker, 3rd and 4th, closing the gap. Everybody in that group within half a second.
I'd say that 87 truck is really pushing right there in 1. You can see his arc into it's just so much lower and a lot harder than the 27. So he's able to get, the 27 is going to be able to get to the gas a lot quicker and faster than the 87. And you're really going to give the 27 a lot more speed, and he's going to be able to save his tires. So I think Justin Michaels is driving just a little bit too hard right now, at least the last lap. This lap maybe he'll do it a little differently. That way he's not as close to Ashton. But definitely he was overdriving it a couple laps ago, more than the other guys, and it may hurt him, and the guys behind him are starting to catch him.
By the way, out of the 31 possible drivers to be able to start this race, 30 of them did so. Dylan Phillips has had problems early. The number 77 down 5 laps already to this point. He's the only driver off of the lead lap at the moment. There is going to be a lot of lap traffic. Once we get over maybe 25 laps under green flag conditions, you're going to catch a steady stream of not just the stragglers, but you're going to get caught up to the back of the pack, and there's going to be a constant flow of lap traffic in front of the guys up front. In Dover, it may look wide. The groove is a lot lower than you might think it is, and where these guys are going to be running, it could cause some interesting moments as the night goes on. But at least Crowder looks like he's figured something out up front. Now 5/10 to the good over Michael, and Michael, who a couple of laps ago was thinking a race lead, is now thinking to hold it on to P2. Bennett wants that spot back, and the BNC Chevy all over him.
And you think of any of the guys in the top 5, you wonder who's the fastest, and you'd say 27 of Ashton Crowder. He's got to be the fastest, but it's actually Jason Jacoby. He was the 10th faster than Ashton Crowder last time, and he's got the 17 right in front of him. Not a championship driver, but nonetheless wants the position and wants to show these guys that he means business. Look at that. Look at the 17 trying on the inside. He's actually going to let that number 1 of Jason Jacoby by, and it looked like he was going to try the inside on the 3, but actually was letting that guy by. And that 1 car is really fast. You saw 2 guys now let him by, and that drill spill truck is really starting to get these guys off.
Yeah, not sure if he figures something out once, Michael and Bennett and so we're catching up behind him, but Ashton Crowder's definitely picked up the pace. Michael has stopped the bleeding. It's settled out there at about a half a second of a difference, but a fair gap for being 13 laps into a green flag run at Dover. A little bit of a challenge going on furthermore back to White Beverly and Robert Gillenwater dance for 7th and 8th position. They both picked up 1 spot. That's because Seth Foudy has not had a very good opening bit of this race. Came in tonight 2nd in the championship again, almost as far away from the cut line as you could get. 15 points to the good. However, started 7th, has fallen to 14th position in that 22.
Yeah, you could be wondering about a lot of things that number 22 machine is having. He did so well that first week, winning the race and being tied for the lead in points, and then slipped back last week and didn't have a good race then. And maybe he's not having a good race now. Maybe it'll come back to him later, but he is falling back pretty fast, considerably more than anybody else. He's the only top 10 driver that is that far back. I think everybody that started in the top 10 is in the top 10 except for him. And then you have Michael Atkins Jr., who's up 11 spots. He's in that 10th position right now.
And Atkins is, one of the drivers who didn't even take a time in qualifying. Again, the top 15 drivers qualified. The bottom 15 drivers did not. So a lot of people starting to hang back in this race, maybe kind of showing you that a lot of people were expecting things to be a little bit more adventurous than they have been so far through the opening couple of laps of this race. You've got guys like Tommy Ryan, as well as Justin Kleiber, and of course Atkins, people who started outside of the qualifying positions that have been able to pass some of those guys that did take queue times earlier. With everybody going up, there's obviously a couple of guys going down, and pretty big issues for Randy Yoakum here early. Started 15th and is down in 24th position in that number 2 Chevrolet. So again, anytime we talk about big movers, somebody's got to be going the other direction for that to happen, and a couple of guys not having too good of a run at it in these opening 19 laps.
This battle for right inside the top 15 is starting to get really intense. That 93 of Justin Kleiber just pounded the outside wall on the exit of turns number 2, and he was getting some of these guys. He was just about to pass Seth Foudy, who's now gained a couple more spots. Now he's in 12th. That turn 2, he's in the wall again, right on the outside. He slid it right up into there. Not a humongous hit, but he did get into the wall once more right on the back straightaway. So a little bit of problem for that 93 right there. Gonna have to keep our eye on him. He's in 16th place now. He just had 5 positions in front of that, and actually move him down to 17th. So he's only +2. He was a lot higher than that not too long ago.
And the 11 machine making a move that time. The Jags entry of Shane Hawthorne going to pick up P15 from Ralph van der Voorstie. Both of those drivers are in the negative from the start of this race, but good for either or for them to get a spot back. And now you see Kleiber go to the inside of the racetrack, going to make it a side-by-side challenge for 16th on track. Second lap in a row, the 66 is going to lose a spot down in 1 and 2. He falls to 17th.
Yeah, and as a chase driver, you really just got to be careful about the battles you pick. And he knew that he was probably going to be able to get that 66, and he did get the job done. And he was doing so well before that, and it doesn't look like the damage is going to be detrimental to the engine or to the aerodynamics. It will slow the truck down just a little bit, but at the same time, I think it's more of a mind game that can really get into your head, especially at a track like this where it's so demanding over time. Any little mess up can really put you in the wall, and he did it twice, lap after lap. And the front stretch is where you don't want it to happen. If you're going to have it happen, you want it to maybe happen on the back stretch, but you just don't want it to happen right at the corners of 2 and 4. And you're going to see him get passed actually right there by looks like it's going to be the Shane Hawthorne machine right there.
Yeah, so people keep on moving forwards. Fermoso with a move in the 80, and I think the 12 is Greg Wall as well. So the wheels really starting to come off. Voorstie, who started in 11th position, is going to fall to a race low P19 that time by. And again, maybe the outside will be a viable option later on. I don't think it's really that the 68 is running the top and leaving the bottom open, but once somebody forces their way to his inside, you really just can't defend up there as we slowly start to get some rubber put down on the track. It does look like those guys taking a lot higher of a line, maybe 1 to 1.5 lanes in 3 and 4 than they are in 1 and 2. Voorstie did that though. Looked like he got back to the gas too soon, had to check it up, but a big run from Michael Waite in the 48 Chevrolet. He'll take 19th away. And here comes the 64 of Michael Priester, trying to kick him all the way back to 21st. Can't get that to stick though.
Yeah, these battles are really good here right back in the pack. And you say that, only the first few positions matter. I mean, to all these guys out there's a lot of newer drivers out here in this field. And there's all but 12 of these drivers in the field that are fighting for a championship. So to these guys, it does matter. You do get a little bit, points does matter at the end of the day, but you're not fighting for a championship. So that is definitely something to think about when these guys are fighting as hard as they are, that each position really matters to those guys. And speaking of each position, look at the front. It's starting to get a little closer. Jason Jacoby just got around Justin Michael for position, and then Aaron Bennett is trying to take advantage of that right here. That's the battle for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
And Drill Spill now 1-2 after the number 1 Abishita Jacoby was able to make that move. He's up 4, and we've got guys like Michael Atkins Jr. who have now gotten 12 positions, started 21st and runs in 9th, but to go from P6 to P2, making all of those passes inside of the top 10 is a little bit different and oftentimes more challenging, in all honesty, than to make it up spots back in the back. Not to take anything away from Atkins, who had a top 10 practice car, and I think just by not taking the time in qualifying kind of set him up for having to make this charge. I would expect that 44 nonetheless to be a top 10 all night long. But with Jacoby, now he's got about a 2-second pocket of air between he and Crowder in front of him. The difference between 2nd and 1st at a racetrack. Can he continue to pull away from Michael, use that clean air, or is that going to be a little bit too much? How hard has he been pushing that number 1 Toyota to make up those positions?
And that's exactly where I was going with it. Right after that is how hard has he been going, and really how easy has the guy in front of him been. I think for all three of these guys, they've been going really hard. And I think Jacoby's really been the easiest on the truck, and I think that's why it's really come to life later on in the run, as we're on lap number 30, going to 31 this time by. And you got to believe that Ashton Crowder has just been able to kind of coast this entire time. He started in first, really hasn't had to mess with a whole lot this whole race. He hasn't had any challenges except for at the very beginning of the race, so definitely he's the guy you really want to look at. But Jacoby did get a better time than him that last time, but he is trying to navigate lap traffic that has just actually started here this lap.
Yeah, and like I said, once you get into it, you're going to be in the thick of things. Drivers have gone a lap down. Jeff Ryan, 29th. Randy Tessar in 28th. And Skylar Grissom in 27th. But you're going to catch up to guys like Cutts, Yoakum, Harbin, Vorstein, and this, again, is not the stragglers. You always have a couple of guys either with damage or substantially off the pace that you'll nick off, but this is the back of the pack. You're not going to find anybody from this point on that you're going to lap. They're going to be any more than maybe 4 or 5 tenths of a second away for the next guy in line. So you got to gear up for that. Ashton Crowder's going to have to be ready for it. He's been handling it, though, very well so far, and he does have a little bit of an advantage with that 2-second gap. So if he does get himself in a little bit of a tricky situation, doesn't have to force the issue, can take it easy and safely navigate his way on by. So far, so good. He pulls out to a 2-second advantage. Battle, though, for third. Going to go to Aaron Bennett. The number 3 makes the move on Justin Michael. Michael tried to cross him up, but a 4 nearly spun that 87 machine out. He will settle for 4th.
Yeah, watching these guys the last few laps really go at it, and I'd say that Justin Michael was still a little bit reserved when he tried that crossover move. I think he might have been able to make it, but I think he saw the little bit of a wiggle out of the 3 and decided it wasn't worth tossing the race for, to try and really go for that position. Lap 35 is what we're on right now, and you got to imagine that pit stops aren't that far away, and this is really when you can make the biggest moves. So really, it's not too far away. We have limited fuel cells in these trucks this season, and I think it's really going to benefit a lot of these drivers who are good at getting in the pits. And one of those drivers is Aaron Bennett. We saw him at Chicago do really, really well at his green flag pit stops. So definitely look for the number 3. If anyone's going to benefit the most, definitely it's going to be that number 3 truck.
Just scrolling through the field here to see if anybody is going really at it neck and neck, and for the moment things appear to be civil. The 27 to Crowder now working up on some lap traffic. The 15 to Bobby Harmon, who is scored in the number 24 position. This to keep in mind that we're almost at quarter distance in this one. 37 uninterrupted laps of green flag action, and obviously we talk about the non-chase drivers versus the chase guys and what kind of a factor they will play into things. Well, only 12, to the point that you made earlier, of the 30 drivers on track are chase drivers. So the chase guys in the minority, and the race leader right now, Ashton Crowder, is one of our non-chasers trying to play spoiler tonight, looking sporty. However, Jason Jacoby ever so slightly chipping away down to 1.8 seconds. Nothing that I think Ashton Crowder's got to be sweating about quite yet, but keep an eye on those intervals between 1-2 at the top of your screen.
And you can't forget about Ashton Crowder. Earlier on in the season, he won 2 of the first 4 races, and after about that, he decided he was going to hang the helmet up for just a little bit and decided to pursue some other things. So this is his first race back since that long hiatus. It was over 10 weeks, I do believe, and coming back into the truck series, this is really what he likes to do. Is he really likes to drive these trucks. That lead is coming down, now that you mentioned it, little by little. I'd say maybe by the time pit stops are coming, he's going to get there, but probably won't be able to pass him. But that's the 27 truck. If you're wondering where he is or how he got there, he was here at the beginning, and he definitely showed his potential, but decided to walk away from the series for a little bit, and he's coming back, and he is not messing around at all.
And I think that there's a little bit more, not that the chase guys aren't trying to win races, but if you're a non-chase guy, if you're somebody who, has had a good truck and just hasn't had the starts that gave you the ability to compete to get into this, or if you're somebody who just missed that top 12 cutoff a couple of weeks ago, and, we can say the same thing, about Jamie Walker. If Jamie Walker doesn't make it to the next round, they'll have that little bit of a chip on their shoulder that maybe they want to go out there and prove a little bit of a point. Put some guys on notice. for 2018. Still a long way away until we start up our next season, but a fair point to note that these guys want to get the job done and make a statement week in and week out. We're down to 20 drivers on the lead lap. That number going to continue to trickle down as this race goes on, but we really have to think that now Jacoby's going to be closing in on the race lead. 1.5 seconds the gap. I don't think, though, that he'll catch him before we see trucks on pit road, which could be a big deal in either and maybe helping that one machine out if Jacoby tries to go for the short pit, or if Ashton Crowder catches on, comes down pit road first, kind of stints the momentum that one machine's building up.
He's losing momentum right now, though, with these lap trucks. They really got in his way that last time, and I say if he wasn't actually right there, I don't know if that 15 would have moved over. He was so close to him. It was so close, but he lost about 0.4 of a second just by being behind that number 18 truck, and that's a lot of time. And if you're him and you realize it, you definitely need to get somebody on the radio to tell those lap trucks to get out of the way, because the number 3 got through that little mess really easy. But the one truck didn't, and I'd say that one truck had a lot of momentum on his side, just like you were saying, and really just lost it all with what just happened with lap traffic. So sometimes you can really benefit, and sometimes you'll really lose, and the one was really the big loser on that one.
Check this out. Here comes Ashton Crowder. Your race leader is going to pit at lap number 45. You want to know why he's pit? Look at the one machine of Jacoby. Cut that gap down to 2 car lengths from a 2-second gap. Okay. The reason the 27 pitted, though, is down in 1 and 2, Coop, the one came over the radio from second and said, pitting this time. Immediately after that, Crowder came over the radio and said, pitting this time. So he pitted in reaction to the one, but holy cow, Jacoby closed up that gap.
I'll be really surprised to see if he gets a speeding penalty on that one, but I did check it just now, and I'd say it's really close, but I think he made it, and if he comes out of his pit box right now, or after he gets those left side tires,
yeah, he's good.
Yeah, he got it, and he's gonna beat him off pit road.
Drag race off for the pit lane, going to be side by side. The 27 barely. I think if the pit road speed was a little bit higher, 27 would have lost that race off pit road, but pit road speed is very slow here at just 35 miles an hour, and Crowder's going to beat him off for the pit lane. But those drivers who were 1-2 now have even tires. There's nobody in between them, and they have an opportunity to duke it out. And I'll tell you what, I don't think Jacoby's going to make that same entry the next time we see cars on pit road. I don't think it was by design to smoke the tires and slide it for 200 feet, but it worked. Now, though, on the fresh tires, this is where that 27 was so good, and Crowder already pulling on him.
Yeah, I gotta imagine that the 27's really good on those new tires. The one's really good on the old tires, especially when they get to race the way they want to without being interrupted, without having battles, without having lap traffic. And they're still going to encounter lap traffic, but the longer that this green flag run goes on, they won't be as packed, tightly packed as they are. They'll be able to run where they are. Look at the one car, though. He had a really really hard exit right there. So it's going to continue. These guys are lapped down, and they will get their lap back here soon. As we got a car on the wall, turn number 4. It's a chase driver, it looks like.
No caution, we stay green. Drivers are ducking down to pit road to try to get down before a yellow may have come out. We are still okay. The 55, I believe, Michael Waters just missed pit road, locked it up, spun out, got into the inside fence, never looped it around, so we stay green. And this is kind of a point that was voluntarily offered up to us by that close trip down pit road by Jacoby a couple of laps ago. But as Waters comes in this time around, and that's really going to hurt him. He only came into tonight 9 points to the good over the cut line. This is an extremely difficult pit road because you don't want to be slowing down a lot on the racetrack. But if you're trying to get on the brakes when you're on that transition to the flat, it just does not work. Very treacherous. That's why somebody like a Jacoby gave away his cards, really, and announced so early that he was coming down pit road, because you want to make sure that everybody around you knows what's going on.
Yeah, and it almost looked like he went up the track to get back into the racing line, and whenever he did, he realized he was in direct path of traffic, and that would have ended his race too. So he's not going to repair any damage. He's going to go right out there, but he's going to be at least another lap down when it comes down to it, because that's just the way missing pit road is, and that could very well be the end of his chase if it comes down to the end of it. Like you said, 9 points. He only has it's just too close for something like that to happen. So bad luck for the number 55.
More drivers coming into the box. Current race leader, Jamie Walker, is down pit road. He'll give up the race lead. Bobby Harmon was second at the time, and unless the 15 ducks down to the pit lane this time, which it appears like he will not, he is going to go to the race lead. So how about that? The number 15 Chevrolet in control first time tonight as we cycle through our pit service. And simple math makes you look at how long can you go on the first run, and therefore what kind of pit strategy are we going to be talking if this race stays green? Well, your race leaders pitted a little bit shy of the quarter distance marker at lap 45, which means that at some point they would have to get at least 55 laps to do this race on a 3-stop strategy. Quarter distance, halfway, 3/4 distance. Well, if this 15 stays at one more lap, you'll be able to get to lap 55, and I think that strategy will work.
Yeah, this is only the 15-second race of the season, so get some laps led, stay out there for a little bit. He's going to have to let a lot of these trucks by, and he's so slow out there right now. He's absolutely losing time, so you gotta believe that. But I do actually look at the number 1 behind him. He's actually passed Ashton Crowder for position, and all while this is going on, we missed it. We missed the one passing the 27 after all of that happened.
Yeah, and just like that, that completely changes everything. We really quit looking because Crowder was taken off. They came at a pit road about 4 car lengths apart from each other, and the 27 had pulled distance, but these guys are taken off, and the one of which had made the move just 2 laps ago went to the inside, looked rather easy, and Jason Jacoby now completing the cycle of service to the race lead at lap 57.
It's got to be that pit entrance, whether it was planned or not, Evan. That's what got him. He just ate up that massive 2-second lead, and he still has them charging on behind him, but it's really cool to see these two non-chase drivers duke it out, like you said, as they came out of pit road. They really don't have anything to worry about. They can race as hard as they want to, as if it was any other race. And as long as no other chase driver is really in the mix of it, they can go as hard as they feel like. There's a lot of drivers doing safe plans just to make sure that they don't get involved in anything, but these guys, there's no safe plan. They can go for it.
And through all of that, only 13 trucks remain on the lead lap. We were just touting how big of a field here it is tonight. And sure, we still got 28 trucks on the racetrack, but half of those, less than half, in fact, still scored on the lead lap. And, the top few drivers nice and tight. Crowder's actually been closing things back in at 27, going to make it a good fight for the race lead. He's only a truck length off the back of that one of Jason Jacoby, but guys like Michael and Bennett, 3rd and 4th, nearly 7 and 9 seconds behind themselves. So it's really starting to stretch out into a 2-horse race.
Yeah, and it's not really surprising when you get to a long run like this, but it is whenever it's such a short track. It's only 1 mile long, and I have to say it's about the pit entrance and exit that you have when you come to these tracks. And each league is different on how you can approach that, especially on the exit of pit road, so you don't run into anybody. And there's if you're bound to making a small mistake, we saw the 55 had that issue earlier, and he didn't even drop that back as much as I thought he was going to. He's in 16th, 1 lap down. I thought it was going to be a lot worse for him, and he's still ahead of some other drivers out there. Track position is super key right now when you come in, so unless they're caution, I don't want to jinx it like last week, but that could really be a huge factor as this one goes on. And even if there is one, there's going to be a lot of guys still locked and lap down.
Yeah, and that's the biggest problem is 14th through 25th are a lap down. It's a lot of guys where you get a yellow, you could hang out for the wave by, but you're in a tough spot. And if the race goes green all the way, you're going to finish 2-3 laps down, but it might almost be better than getting a caution and getting trapped a lap down, because these guys have some space. Sure, they're fighting for positions, absolutely. Battle for, 15th and 16th going on right now. Michael Waters just passed Michael Priester for 15th, but there's separation to the point where if we got a yellow, then we'd have a 13-car race on the lead lap, and we'd have an 11-car race down a lap, and just to get that much more crazy. So I don't think we're necessarily in a bad position as we run right now. There's good fighting going on the lead lap. How about the battle for 7th? Dwayne Dunn, the 39, Robert Gillenwater, the 4. We've got about a truck length in between them for 7th and 8th.
Yeah, we talked about how Dwayne Dunn was really playing it safe earlier, just trying to keep it cool. Let the guy go by, which is now the leader. A good choice by him. Sometimes you have to do that, but he's still in 7th place, and that's when he let him by. He yielded the position to get to 6th place, now 7th, so he's only really lost another position since then. And he's one of the guys who's really on the bubble. If he has an issue and has just any sort of problem to go more than one lap down, it's really a done story for him, and he might as well have some of these guys pass, or one of these guys pass him, and it'd be the end of the championship. So if he gets a top 10, he's in really, really good shape. So that 39 truck of Dwayne Dunn, definitely going to try and keep that status of lead lap and still in the grasp. He's 15 seconds behind and still catching some of the guys in front of him. Dwight Beverly, he's in 6th place, and he's really actually starting to get him here. So we'll have to see about those two right now, as they are starting to catch Ricky Howell Jr. He pounded the wall a few laps ago, so I'd assume he's going to have to yield this over, as his trucks are a little bit wounded.
Yeah, and that's something else that kind of ties in with a little bit of a short track mentality. I know that a mild racetrack is not necessarily a short track, but has a lot of the same characteristics, a place like this, and especially turn 4. We've seen people struggle getting on the pit lane down at that end of the racetrack, and a lot of people get up into the fence. Turn 4 is a tough one to navigate. If you enter low, you're going to have to wait a long time to be able to put the foot back down, to be able to keep that car on the inside of almost this big hump as you come into turn 4 that kind of sets you up to either come off of the corner nicely or have to lift and keep it out of the fence. Nonetheless, everybody making it work. The top 2 continue to fight, just waiting for Ashton Crowder to make some sort of move. The number 27 still right on the back of that Domino's Toyota Jacoby, but has yet to make a move. And the 27, I'm not sure if he's, not trying, not what I'm trying to insinuate, but the 27 hasn't really been forcing the issue. He's not trying to stick his nose in low or take it really easy into the corner to wind it up off. I think he's just kind of keeping some subtle but constant pressure on the back of the 1, and maybe when we catch up to one of these things in lap traffic, then maybe he'll try to look for some way to box that number 1 machine out. But right now, the 27, just keeping him honest, half a car length off.
130 laps to go is what we're at right now, and I think that might be the biggest thing for that 27. He knows he's in a good position. He knows he has 5 seconds behind him, or 6 seconds. It's when it's going to be here at the line. 6 seconds. No matter what he does, if he moves and gets around and passes him, he's still in a really good position. Winning would be great for that number 27, but he has 129 laps now to make that possible. And I think if you try and rush it at we saw the 17 do this over and over all throughout the season. Jamie Walker just multiple times was in second and just didn't do anything. He was about this close every single time. Just waited and waited and waited and waited for an opportunity. Sometimes he got it, but sometimes he didn't. But that's why he finishes better than anybody else in the series, and I think the 27 of Ashton Crowder sees that.
Next little bit of lap traffic that these guys are going to have to deal with is about 3 seconds onto the horizon. It's Michael Atkins Jr. in the number 44, 21 seconds off of the top spot, or actually it's going to be about 3 seconds in front of the guys at the race lead. But it's a 2-horse race. Justin Michael, though, actually going the other direction forwards for the driver who runs in 3rd. He was about 6.5 seconds off 10-15 laps ago, only 6.1 off, so he's not per se gaining a lot of time, but he's not losing like Aaron Bennett is. Bennett's going to fall out of a 10-second range to the guys up front here in about 3-4 laps or so, and Michael kind of in no man's land, not necessarily a bad thing. However, again, came into tonight with a 19-point deficit. He needs guys like Dwayne Dunn and company to have some really bad outings, and Dwayne Dunn has improved significantly, running in 7th position. Great news for the driver who came in that final transfer spot.
Yeah, and looking at this 87, you can really only run your own race. And I think that's something that can be said. And when you don't run any of the races, it's really hard to pick up the pieces and get back to where you were in points-wise. But on the track, sometimes you can really just get back in the groove of things. And we've seen 2 drivers in the chase have to miss a race, and it's really going to be a bummer for that 87 if nothing happens to those drivers on the bubble. But nonetheless, he can still get a really good finish out of it, and I think really continue to run the rest of the season strong. But he's actually really cutting the lead down. I'd say mainly because he pitted a little bit later. So I think that's the biggest reason why he's cutting this lead down. But 87's still doing a really good job. So if he sticks in it, he might still have something for these guys.
As we now complete over 75 laps, clean and green tonight for Dover International Speedway. Jason Jacoby continues to lead, and his pit stops start to close in. We'll take a quick opportunity to step aside, and we will return as pit stops come up at about 15 to 20 laps from now. You're watching LSRTV's continuing coverage of the United Sim Racing BNC Lawn and Landscaping Truck Series at iRacing Live. Jacoby 1, Crowder 2. More to come from the monster when we return.
Actually, really enjoy dirt racing. Feels good to get in the car, and we have great cars and engines and things at KKR, so it's nice to drive a fast sprint car.
Couple of separate lines developing, 3 wide action on a turn 2. Craig Kinzer, Casey Kane, and Garrett Pittman going at it.
I think the differences between NASCAR and the sprint races on dirt is just a much different mindset. The way you drive your cars, the setup, the feel you're looking for. I think one of the hardest things to tell as a fan is when you're watching a race, whether it's a NASCAR race, a dirt race, is just what's really going on in the car. With iRacing, you can get the way that the track's changing, which they've done a great job in how the track changes throughout the night or throughout the race, just to try to capture it and let the fans play it and realize, like, man, there's actually a lot going on, and you can't always see that when you watch a race. So I think it's pretty neat. It's enjoyable for me, but at the end of the day, it's actually much of a simulation, and there's a lot of ways that you can learn from that. And early on, it was neat to look at the Cup tracks that I was going to, places that I had never been. So I think it kind of gives you a head start leading into a weekend. It's pretty real life, and that's pretty neat.
So cool, yeah. Nate, what are you working on at the moment?
So I'm working on the animation for the game. We're working on getting pit crews fully developed, and that involves a lot of moving parts. So I'm going in and making sure that each moving part can dovetail smoothly into the next one, so that when you pull in for a pit stop, it looks like the real thing, as opposed to a bunch of jumbled pieces that suddenly stop and then go and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's so cool, but why aren't you working on the tire model? Nothing?
Welcome back live to the Dover International Speedway for the Monster Mile. Tonight, Jason Jacoby looking to play spoiler and go to victory lane. He's your race leader now with 88 laps of uncontested action so far complete. It was Ashton Crowder earlier on. Jacoby took it over through a cycle to pit service and uninterrupted, I think the word I'm looking for, as we have not had a caution. We are still clean and green top to bottom, and that means we're only 11 laps away from halfway and 11 laps away from what would be the next trip down to the pit lane. If the guys up front would do what they did on that first stint, which would be 45 laps, and they'd be pitting this time, but I think the objective has to be to make it to halfway.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Make it a 3-stop race and give everything you got to making it that way. And looking at the leaders right now, looks like lap traffic's going to be a little bit of an issue. It looks like actually somebody getting the outside wall. It's going to be Justin Kleiber. He's now lapped down. So he's got a little bit to worry about with the points. So he's 20th now. He's going to be stuck a lap down with these guys. But like you said, uninterrupted. This is really impressive. This league has done this before, where they've gone really, really long green flag stints. It is not that they've had one driver or a couple drivers just be extremely dominant. It's that a lot of drivers are really just able to keep pushing each other so far away from other drivers. So you got the first two, you got the second two, you have Justin Michael and Aaron Bennett fighting. There's battles all over the track, but when they start to happen, they start to block the track up a little bit, and you'd expect that to really have an accident, but it has not happened. And for the good thing on these guys, and especially at the start of these ones, you expect at least a little bit of chaos. The only chaos we saw was with the 55 of Michael Waters getting the inside pit wall on the outside of the track. And he's still in 13th, second car 1 lap down. So even if you have an issue, you're not down and out of it. But we have not seen Miles the Monster have any bites so far today, and we may not.
I think the most treacherous part of a race at Dover, other than late race restarts, which I guess it really doesn't matter what happens in these opening 175 laps. The final 25 can be completely different, but it is getting on and off a pit road and a pit road cycle. You've got people with very different speeds as far as guys staying out on old tires, people back out there with fresh tires, sometimes 2-3 seconds faster per lap. It's a quick closing rate, but also the tricky trip down to the pit lane. So normally, across the halfway point, we'll take a look at your midway race break. We'll hold off until the cycle to caution flag, or the green flag pit stop cycle through, because that is right on the horizon. And with that being said, Jason Jacoby over the radio says that he will be down pit road. Ashton Crowder behind him affirms the same. So 1-2 down the back straightaway, headed for pit road this time. Let's see how they do on entry.
Well, this ought to be interesting, watching them both go down pit road. And number one squeals the tires a little bit, but not as much as last time. They both safely get in. Lap 95 is when they're coming down this time. They came down lap 45 the time before. So a complete 50 this time. I'd say around laps 170 or 150, around 154 is when they'd come back down. But not nose to tail like you would expect, but still really close down on pit road.
And I think that the 27 benefited from following the one down, because again, last time they pitted, Crowder came down well earlier than Jacoby did. Jacoby made up about 1.5 seconds on entry alone. No surprise what the call is going to be. 4 tires, gas to go. Let's see if the number one could win the race off of pit road. Benefit should be to Crowder at the end of the pit lane. Not going to happen, though. A slower stop in the one. He's going to be able to get on the gas much sooner. And that with just that 27, having to spend about an extra second at pit speed, is going to give Jacoby a big jump out of pit road.
Yeah, that was a really large deficit that the 27 had over the number one. The virtual pit crew did pretty well on the number one and got him out a little bit faster. Also, it helps to get really clean into your box as well. Not that either of these drivers typically have an issue, but now you can see the speed that they're going to have. They just got by Scott Simley. That was for position, and they just blew by him, and no contest between those guys, and they are off, and there's quite a big gap between them. Still up, so they're both still a lap down. Give the lead to Aaron Bennett, Justin Michael second, Jamie Walker third, and those are chase drivers. But see, these two guys will probably get the lead when it's all said and done after these pit stops.
Yeah, right now your top two, who were the top two, are actually your 13th and 14th place trucks on the lead lap. We were talking about the problem of all those people when we noted it was 11 drivers who were off for the lead lap if a yellow were to come out. Well, now is the tricky situation for the 1 and the 27, because if a caution were to come out, they'd be down a lap. They're at the 5th and 6th drivers, 1 lap down at the moment. I do think the short pit call is the one to go to, but it does come with this inherent risk. Now remember, we were talking about Ashton Crowder. He was better on the short run. Here he comes on Jacoby, trying to challenge side by side for what is currently 10th on track into quarter number 3, and Ashton Crowder makes the move.
Yeah, will probably be the lead soon. That's a big move, and the 1's not done yet. He's going to try the crossover. He's going to the very bottom of the track. Big crossover out of turns number 4. He's going to get him. Great action between these two guys. They're not fighting for the lead, but it might be after all this is done.
Oh, and contact! And that's going to hurt these guys because the 48 spins and the caution flag comes out.
Oh, my goodness. You got to be kidding me. I don't know what happened there. It happened so quickly. We're going to have to take another look at it, but the number 1 might have some issues with the front end of that truck, but whoever he turned right there, he's got massive damage, and that's going to be the 48, it sounds like.
The 48 was just doing his thing. I was talking about closing rate, though, and I think the 48 was just getting up to speed. He was substantially slower, but was scored in 9th, so maybe he hadn't pitted yet, and the 1 got into him and turned him, and not only, again, is that going to trap Jacoby and the 27 a lap down, but I think the 1's also going to be given the cause of that caution as well, plus the damage, so that was not a very good exchange for the 1.
Yeah, it seemed like there was actually a good amount of room for the 48 to go up the track, so it's a hard one to call. It seems like there's actually an entire truck length for that 48 to go, but at the same time, he's still, the 1 could have got off the throttle. It's one of those cat and mouse deals. It could go one way, it could go the other way based on which driver you are. Of course, a 48's going to say that, 1's going to say the other, and really just a kind of an odd thing to say, but 3 drivers that are going to be really benefit, Bennett, Walker, Dunn, they're going to probably come down pit road.
Yeah, drivers down pit road. Aaron Bennett had yet to pit. Jamie Walker had yet to pit, and so did Dwayne Dunn. They are the only 3 trucks on the lead lap. So oftentimes, even if you just pitted, you'd like to come back down if a caution were to come out. Everybody else is going to have to stay out on the racetrack to get a wave by. At best, Bowdy, Crowder, Jacoby, and Waite, and Michael. They're going to get a wave by. They're going to go from 1 lap down to the lead lap. But that would still only give us 8 trucks on the lead lap max.
Yeah, it's a huge game changer, and especially for all those, excuse me, especially for a lot of those guys who would just come down pit road. They're going to be able to get the wave around, so they're not going to be stuck per se, but they're still going to be at a disadvantage. They're going to be behind these guys that have the best tires on track. It's still a huge disadvantage for a lot of these guys, and there's a lot of drivers. All but 3 drivers are going to take the wave around. Look at all those guys in front of them. Every single one of them is going to have to pass a pace car here soon, and we may get a maybe get another extra caution flag as these drivers are going to have to go all the way around. But huge misfortune for just about every single driver except the top 3. It looks like Ashton Crowder might be the first driver that'll get that, and then of course Jason, Jacoby, and company will then afterwards. And looks like the 1's actually coming down pit road, so he may not be able to get that wave around.
And for those who do, I do think that we're going to see a wave, or actually a delay on a green flag, because wave bys don't go until the lights go out on top of the pace car. We've got maybe 17 trucks looking for a wave by, so we'll see what happens there, and also see how everything cycles through. Crowder did get to the lead lap in front of the pace car, but did just come down pit road. I think the 27 is going to be okay, but for Foudy and Michael, we'll have to wait and see. I think Seth Foudy, who, by the way, we were talking about how rough of a go at it the 22 was having earlier, started 7th, dropped inside of the top 15. This will help him very much, because he's going to go back into the top 5. So for some, this yellow, a big headache. For some, a big benefit. Just going to have to wait until we get everything cycled through in the wave bys and get doubled up for a restart here in about 2 or 3 laps before we'll really know. But hey, first caution flag on the night came in very unique circumstances. At time, race leaders getting mixed up in it from a lap down while battling for what would have become the race lead.
Yeah, I don't think you could really ask for those drivers to race any other way, because that, like you said, was going to be the race lead. Just kind of a wrong place, wrong time for that to happen, and as it does, the number 1 truck will take the blame on that, so he'll get the end of the line penalty, which is why he's going to be stuck a lap down, and he won't get his wave around either. So I think a double whammy goes to that number 1 truck, and kind of just a really really big something that you just sometimes can't foresee when you're coming in on a closing rate that is that quick. Just huge break. Huge break for everybody else. It looks like we're still going to have a few trucks lined up that are lapped down here on the bottom. So I think it's going to be a little bit interesting to see how these trucks line up. I think we only got about a good handful here at the front right now.
We are doubling up, though. We're going to do it with only 5 trucks on the lead lap. And Justin Michael, who just got the wayby, is going to be behind about 8, 9, 10 rows of lap traffic. But how about a 4-way battle up front now? New contenders in this one. Bennett, Walker, Dunn, and Crowder, who was not the cause of the caution, gets to stay in the fight. Jason Jacoby trapped the lap down after being the cause of the most recent caution flag. So for that one, we had anticipated that it was going to be a big headache for him, and that's exactly what happened. Big spin for the 17, though. Walker couldn't get the power down, and he ended up in a fence, and it checked up Crowder.
I don't know if a lot of drivers knew exactly what was going on with this start, but definitely some of these guys didn't, and there's a lot of chaos right there in the back. But Aaron Bennett's early on the gas, and I don't know whether it was late green flag or what, but definitely a lot of confusion on that last restart, and a lot of these drivers are towards the back, really stacked up.
Ashton Crowder did not get into the fence, but he has obviously got checked up after the 17 that Jamie Walker did. But again, there's only 5 trucks on the lead lap, and Bennett is your race leader this time by the racetrack. He came into tonight 4 points above the cut line, doing good right now. Dwayne Dunn came into this only 2 points above the cut line, and those final 2 transferees are 1-2 on the racetrack, doing exactly what they need to do, and exactly what that 17 that Jamie Walker didn't want to see him doing.
Right, exactly, and the 17 just had that little bit of a mishap on the restart, but he's got to really get back in the game on this kind of deal. It doesn't matter. Sometimes you got to have to put that in the windshield, from the windshield to the rear view, and he's still up there towards that top 5 group. I mean, he can't really get out of it anytime soon, and he's got to really have to just keep his head forward. And the driver in front of him is not for position. It's Seth Foudy trying to get his lap back the old-fashioned way. He came down pit road, got 4 fresh tires because he assumed, and I'm going to assume that he knew he's going to be that lap down still. If he went and got the right wave around, he would be on old tires, which means if we had a really long green flag, he would be multiple laps down just because of the performance of the truck would not be there with old tires. Plus, fuel was on the line as well, so still in a really good position right now at that 22, but between first and second, there's a lap car.
And that's just part of this complexion to this race, and now the issue is the guys who stayed out to get away by, they're not going to be able to do that all night long. So if we get 20 laps on this run, or even if we, continue on another green flag stretch to about lap 150, which is when we would see people back down pit road for the final pit stop on the night, 6th through 14th, 1 lap down, 15th all the way through 20th, 2 laps down. Those guys aren't going to have an opportunity to stay out to get another big wave by electing not to come down pit road, because they're going to need fuel to make it to the end of this race. So those guys are really in a tricky spot. And again, for Jason Jacoby, he just came out of turn 2. He needs to get to Seth Foudy. Foudy got actually a pedal issue fixed on that 22, runs in 6th. That is the battle for the lucky dog position. That, I think, is the only place you can be in if you're lap down right now to have any hope of getting back into this thing.
Yeah, or you gotta wait. You gotta hope for multiple cautions, and even if we do, you gotta hope you're not in them as well. And especially if you're not the leader or not the very end of the field. At a track like this, it's really one where they kind of collects lots of drivers when you have multiple accidents, especially on a restart. We're still fresh off a restart, off of less than 10 laps ago. So you gotta think. you know, if that number one's going to do it, he's got to do it basically on this green flag run, I'd say. And it's a heavy task at this point. He's at least a few seconds back, or 2 seconds back, I should say. So it's going to be a hard deal for that 22, but at the same time, he's got to get out of the way of these lead drivers if they start to pressure him too. I think it would be unwise for that 22 as a championship driver to not let these guys go by, especially when the 27 really has nothing to lose. You know, he's trying to get himself a win before it's all over, get 3 on the season, and be the second most decorated winner after the season by only getting the first and last half of the season started, started.
There never is a specific, blueprint to being able to get things done. Sometimes you just got to roll with the punches and to make the best out of it that you can. No battles really, though, on the lead lap. All the fighting's going on 1 lap down. Take a look at this fight. The number 6 of Tommy Rod working around Michael Waters, who's a lap truck, while battling with the 87 of Justin Michael, who is on the same lap that he is on, except the 87 machine has picked up a spot from him. So there's so much going on off of the lead lap. The fact that we say only 5 trucks are on the lead lap is very misleading, because we still have 26 trucks on the racetrack.
Yeah, and it's hard to really find to search through these battles, because there are 2 lap down trucks fighting with 1 lap down trucks at times as well. We have Greg Mall and Michael Waters and Michael Waite in a very similar category, and those drivers all together in this area right now. And sometimes it's as they're trying to get around each other, I don't think you treat anybody differently on the track, as if it was whether it was for position or whether it was just to get an advantage on the track or just to get around somebody. So as these guys are going side by side, I don't think it is, especially as a championship driver, you're just trying to get everything on every position on the track, whether it's an actual driver or just some real estate. You're just trying to get everything you can to get someone between you, trying to get some track advantage, doing everything you can. And looking at Tommy Ryan, looking at Scott Simley, they're in 8th and 9th, kind of doing a little battle, but also keeping their truck straight. 68's going to get a huge run here on the front straightaway. Now, he might try to duck in right here. He's going to do that right now. Battle for position number 8. Number 68's going to go to the bottom, and it's going to be side by side at corner number 2. He might clear him. He's going to do it right there.
Clear down the back straightaway, makes the move up so he can get the arc into the corner, and now Scott Formosa going to follow him. Greg Mall going to follow him, and kind of back to what we were looking at earlier on, and that's the only other really restart we've had tonight, with only 1 yellow. And coming off of this restart, only thing you can compare it to, you can get trapped on the outside of the racetrack, and it doesn't really appear that having any extra grip and rubber on the track is helping out that outside lane off of these restarts with relatively fresh tires on everybody.
Yeah, and almost everybody has fresh tires in the top 6 or 7, but after that, you have guys with about 6 or 4 laps more tires, and those drivers with the least amount of wear on their tires are going to start showing up here soon, and you're going to start noticing them start to really pass quite a bit of drivers. And I think the 68 is going to be one of those drivers. The 6 looks like he's struggling a little bit, has Greg Mall right on his back bumper, and this little cluster of drivers, you're going to start seeing some really start to bloom, and I think it's easy to see which drivers were coming in earlier than later.
Yeah, you're really going to start to see it, and this is still basically a full green flag stretch that we're going to have to make. Again, we talked about how many guys stayed out. Never mind. Caution, problems on the front. It's Randy Yoakum.
Yeah, big problems for that driver, number 2. We're going to see exactly what happened as a replay will come up, and it actually looked like he just lost it on his own out of turns number 4. 4 laps down. First time we've seen turn 4 really have an issue. And he was actually out of the corner already, so possibly a mechanical issue or something. Came off the wall, came down and right into the inside and almost flipped that thing.
He got stuck on the wrong side of that hill that I was talking about earlier with turn 4. Is you really come up out of the corner and then kind of go back to a flat coming off of the turn, and you're just on the wrong side of it. And it's very hard to turn when you're coming over that lip, because the truck gets very light and got into the fence, spun it around, and the caution flag comes out. What I was going to say is that pit strategy is not very clear. However, now it gets a little bit more of a twist. Race leaders down with 125 laps complete and 75 laps to go. This fuel not going to make it to the end, though.
Yeah, more likely these guys are going to try and split it, but to see who makes a strategy call on tires is extremely unlikely. I think all these drivers have to take 4 because there's no advantage right now. There's no driver buffer of like if 2 drivers take 2 tires at the front, then they're going to have that 1 driver on the outside. There's none of that. You have the 5 drivers, and look at the 3. He's already gone in a way. So first driver off is going to be the 30, the 27, and the 39 and the 87 side by side off of pit road. I think the 39 may have got that. 87 shown in front right now, but with the tire strategy, I just don't think it's going to be there, Evan, with any of these guys. Even moving forward, there's just not enough drivers on the lead lap, and for those guys going to make the wave around, these guys taking the wave around this time have to be very careful, because if there's a long green flag run to the end, they're going to go down 1 lap and possibly 2 by the time this one's over.
And you might not have enough fuel to be able to do it on 1 more stop, so you might actually hurt yourself, not be able to get to lap 50, have to pit once and then twice, which would obviously take you off a lap every time you got to come down pit road, and you'd end up, as you said, multiple laps down. This time by, lights on top of the pace car stay on. We'll take a very quick opportunity to step aside and go LSRTV nonstop. Aaron Bennett, your race leader from Dover, closing in on 75 to go. Back from Dover with the lights now out on top of the pace car. Restart due up. Good news is we got a couple of wave-bys. 10 trucks going to be on the lead lap as we get set to go back green. 7th through 10th joining us. Scott Simley, Scott Formosa, Greg Mull, and Robert Gillenwater all taking the wave-by. So they will be behind the lap traffic. Good news for Jason Jacoby. He was the lucky dog. He is back up there, the front 3 rows, top 6, getting set to do battle inside now of 75 laps to go. The 3 held these guys back as long as possible the last time until the green flag dropped. Expect the same this time as the field slowly rolls at 50 miles an hour at a turn 4. Green flag flies. We're back underway.
Yeah, he really almost bogged it down enough, but went as soon as he knew it was going to be a huge advantage. Caution flag is going to roll again, though. Looks like we're going to have 1 truck around on the front straight away, and he gets going to tag the 48 right afterwards.
Yeah, the 44 was the issue on that, just tire spin. It's a factor of coming up to the restart so slow. He hit the 8, spun it out, thought that everything was good at that point, and backed up and clipped Michael Waite in 48, who takes a tough break in that one. Didn't really get hit all that hard, but it does end up as a 2-driver incident.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of checkup on the inside, and then just kind of turned the wheel and got the 8 really hard on the outside. So I'd say he's got the most damage. And the 44, of course, has that front end damage, but definitely got to hold that brake and really check your relative on the sim. It definitely tells you when drivers are behind you. So just a little bit of a mistake by the 44. Could have been a lot worse for him. Could have been out of the race.
So now that we slow things down just a little bit, how about we take this opportunity to take a look at your iRacing Midway Race Break, brought to you by iRacing, the leading online racing simulation developed from the beginning as a centralized racing and competition service. iRacing organizes, hosts, and officiates races and virtual tracks all around the world. In the fast-paced world of esports, iRacing is your one-stop shop for online racing, with officially sanctioned racing from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, World of Outlaws, and many more. Let's go through those on the lead lap. In a moment, Aaron Bennett, your race leader, started second. He runs first, and Ashton Crowder, your pole sitter, runs in second. Dwayne Dunn third, Justin Michael fourth, and Jason Jacoby, leader before the caution flag after the halfway point, is still inside of your top 5. Jamie Walker back with him to number 17, Ryan's in 6th. Scott Simley 7th, with Robert Gillenwater in the number 8 spot. Both those drivers down pit road this time. Scott Formosa 9th, rounding out your top 10, and your lead lap trucks is Greg Mall.
Trucks one lap down and begins. Actually, looks like Seth Foudy may get back on the lead lap, so he'll be in 11th. Starting the lap down train is going to be Tommy Ryan and Michael Atkins Jr., 12th and 13th. 2 laps down, Michael Waters, Michael Priester in 14th, and then Stephen Herring, he's going to be in the top 15. Justin Kleiber, he's going to be in 17th. Shane Hawthor, 18th. Ricky Howell Jr. or Ralph van der Vorst in 19th, and Ricky Howell Jr. in 20th.
Yeah, these guys back here continuing to cycle things through. 21st is Bobby Harmon, Tristan Beats, 22nd, Michael Waite, 23rd, Jeff Ryan, 24th, and Skylar Grissom in the number 25 spot. Everybody from this point on, though, you're talking about double-digit laps down. 26th, Randy Yoakum, 27th, White Beverly, Randy Tessar, 28th, 29th, Dylan Phillips, and Brian Cutts in 30th. That's a look top to bottom at your iRacing Midway Race Break. For more information on the wide variety of sim racing possibilities online, you can visit iRacing.com and sign up today for a limited time. If you go to iRacing.com/World of Outlaws, you can take advantage of some exclusive promo codes. You can get yourself a 1-year iRacing membership for less than half of the sticker price. Or if you just want to give this thing a try, how about 3 months for less than $5? Again, that's for a limited time only. That's at iRacing.com/World of Outlaws. The point that I made earlier on in this race scoop was that races at Dover, when you think of big determining factors and where the excitement comes and where this track kind of gets its muster, it's crazy late race restarts. And I said that it doesn't matter what we do in the first 175 laps, those final 25 could be pretty wild. I said that when we were caution free. I'll revise that. Doesn't matter what we did in the first 100 laps. The final 100 laps could be completely different. The very clean-cut pit strategy has since gotten out the window, and still trying to figure out who's where. Good news is we're starting to get guys cycled back to the lead lap, but as the lights go out on top of pace car, we've still got a lot of people trapped multiple laps down. 12th through 23rd position. Was going to say 24th, but Jeff Ron is back down pit road dealing with damage. So you got 12th through 23rd guys who are still on track, got good trucks, but are just trapped 2 to 3 laps down.
And it looks like Tommy Ryan, the number 6, is the only car 1 lap down. If I was that driver, I'd let all these guys go by and just sit nice and quietly until maybe a caution comes out, because I'll be honest, getting through this field is going to be really difficult. And that 6, he could get back on the lead lap and really fight some of these guys later on, really save his stuff, and get the lucky dog, because he's the only one eligible for it on 1 lap down, because he's the only guy. It'd go to Michael Waters if he has an issue, which Michael Waters would not have an issue with at this point. But that 6 wants to keep that status. He's just got to keep his nose clean, and he'll get it if a caution comes out.
Take a look on how these guys struggle to get onto the gas based on how slow we come into turn 4 and with that big uphill kind of curve off of the turn. See if these guys can get the power down and get things back away, especially for the guys up front running on some old Robert Bennett in control, and he's set sail. American Ethanol green flag flies with now 66 laps to go from the Monster Mile. No challenge for second. Ashton Crowder going to be able to defend, but the fight is on for third. Dwayne Dunn and Justin Michael do dance for third.
There's a lot of battles right there. The 39's had a really good race so far. He's been real clean. The 87 goes real high at the track, and there's going to be contact between them. It's going to be all around for the 87 on the front straightaway.
Greg Mall is going to be involved, and they continue to pile in. The 66 involved. Caution flag is out. 2 championship drivers involved in this one. Justin Michael needed nothing short of a miracle to come out of the 19-point deficit he had at the cut line. That's not going to happen here tonight. And Greg Mall involved in this one could be tight for him. Came in only 11 points to the good. And that Miller Light machine got pretty torn up in that one as the yellow flag comes back out. You'll take a second look at a replay. I feel like that 39 got helped out a little bit by Jacoby. Pushed up the hill. And the 87 was just in the wrong spot.
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly there. And to talk about the 12, he is the only one of these drivers who is in a really bad position. The 87 was already kind of there, and the only solace that you can really give these two drivers is they're still in the lead lap, permitting they don't have a meatball flag and they're forced to do some extensive repairs. These guys, I think the 87 may have some pretty good front end damage, but the 12 only got sideswiped once pretty hard, and he does have some good front end damage, but I think that's all fixable. We'll have to see.
Well, yeah, it could be worse. He could be the 87 who got hit about 2-3 times afterwards, too.
Right, exactly. And I'd say that he's got a chance to fix that thing up, come out of pit road a couple times, come back down. Even if he doesn't have a fully functional truck, if it at least goes around the track a few times and or at a decent pace, I'd say he's still willing to at least get 11th place or whatever the lead lap will be. Because there was a wave around driver, but I don't think it was Tommy Ryan. I just talked about it, how if the 6 had any trouble, there would be one driver getting that wave around.
The drivers are down pit road and getting serviced. Michael trying to get fixed up. Maul trying to get fixed up as well. And seeing if anybody up front's going to come down pit road. Dwayne Dunn is going to give up third and come down pit road.
I think that's a really good idea for that 39 machine because perhaps he's thinking about the long run. And there's only 11 trucks on the lead lap right now. If he decides he can make it the rest of the way and they go green all the way, it's going to be a real big stretch and he's got to save a whole bunch. But remember, these guys came in at 45 and they came in at 95. If he comes in now, he's got 5 laps to maybe save a little bit. But he could be in the window, and maybe he's the only guy really willing to try it. He's been the guy to kind of just play it easy right now, and I think maybe he does this, plays it easy, maybe it'll pay off for him in the end.
You never know, I guess. The pit road was open as well that time for the lap cars to come down pit road. Obviously, first time around, pit road is open for the guys up front. If you're a lap machine, you cannot pit until pit road opens for you the second time around. So did have a lot of guys down pit road this time, but again, I think that's the biggest problem for people 2 laps down from this point on is we're still about 15 or so laps shy of making it into a window where you can have enough fuel to get to the end of this race. So guys need gas. They can't keep staying out trying to get wave bys, and I think that 2-3 laps down is a really big mountain to try to overcome it this late in the race. Are we going to get a handful of yellows from this point on? Well, based on the last couple of laps, I would say yes, but still, there's so many people down there fighting for the wave by, fighting for the lucky dog that, and by the way, including that, a lot of our chase guys.
Yeah, and we've had a lot of small issues with these drivers, these chase drivers having pit road issues, having just a little bit of, spatial issues on the track. And this is the first time we've really seen chase drivers today have any accidents. So we're just going to have to keep our eyes peeled. And I think the 39's got it right to be in the back, maybe. Lead lap driver, or 14 seconds behind, I think is where he's going to start settling in. He's got the newest tires. He could start carving through this field, too. Everyone's going to have to pit once, so I think that's a win-win situation for that 39. But you never know when it comes down to these kind of races. So they've been kind of caution-y right now, kind of wrecky right now. Cautions breed cautions, as they say, and it could continue. And I think the only one that really benefits is the guy in the very front, the guy in the very back.
We're going to find out maybe what happens on this exchange. Aaron Bennett still in control. I think it's going to be the 3rd consecutive time, if not the 4th, that he is going to lead us back to green flag conditions. Pace car down and away. Once again, get a hold of all the way at a turn number 4. Green flag to fly from the flag stand. Back and away we go. 138 behind us.
And look at Ashton Crowder, gets a good clear, and the number 1 in Jason Jacoby, he's back into this thing. We talked about him just briefly, and he's right back behind the number 27, and he had that penalty for causing that caution right around lap 100 that brought our first caution out, so he's right there. Look at the 2-wide battle. 17's going to get him on the outside of the track over Scott Formosa, and the 89 or the 68's going to try the same. He's going to get the door shut right there.
Yeah, trying to shut the door, make sure that he cannot find a way through. The inside is the place that you want to protect on these restarts. Battle for third. Jacoby, Walker, tracing each other down to back. Straightaway, nowhere for the 17 to go as the one holds the bottom. Behind them, Formosa going to be able to get that position, stay in front of Simley at battle for 5 and 6.
Yeah, and it looks like Formosa is just kind of trying to hold on. He did all right in practice. He was kind of back in 20th place, and he's really, I think, trying to fight that truck. Look at the 17 and the 1 go at it right there in front of him. The 1 got a little loose off that corner. The 17's all over him right there for 3rd place. And I think that 17th truck's got a really good run on the high side, but it's really hard to pass on the high side at turns number 4 if you don't already have the bumper there. And the 17 lost a lot of ground for as much as he just had. And he's going to have to maybe figure out a way to maybe just get some momentum and pass him on the inside here, as the outside's really not where it's working right now.
And again, earlier I kind of thought aloud that maybe it'll come into play as the night goes on, but it's just really something that hasn't happened so far to this point. Earlier on in this race, though, Jason Jacoby had to make a march from 6th to up to the race lead, and he did so. Caution flag really threw a wrench into his night, but he is far from over. Up to 3rd. Got some space to work with. Is that number 1 as good as it was early? As it is now, is working with just a smidge of rear damage on that truck. I don't think it's going to be that much of a factor, but he's not really closing in ground. In fact, Ashton Crowder would be in the catbird seat. He was best in practice. He qualified on pole, but once he lost the race lead to Jacoby, they went back and forth. Those two guys are very even. I'm surprised that Aaron Bennett, not that surprised that he has the speed, but surprised based on what we saw in the opening half of that race, is beating both of these guys and holding them off. Jacoby falling backwards now more than a second behind from 3rd.
And I will say that number 3 car has had a lot of momentum lately. He almost won the race at Chicagoland, and then last week he did really well and had a little bit of an unfortunate incident at the end. But that 3 truck has been really on fire lately, and of course, BNC loves that, of course, and as name brand of the series is right there at the front. But you got to believe that 3 truck's got a lot of momentum, and he's not really. I don't think he's 100% worried if Ashton Crowder passes him. I mean, it is going to be a win, and Crowder is really catching him. That was about an entire 10th that last lap. As a little bit over, actually, and the 27 is definitely hunting him down. But 3 truck's been having a fantastic championship hunt right now, as the first round is getting closer and closer to being over. We have just a little bit over 50 laps to go, and I say that 3's in a really good position. Look at the guys behind him getting around lap traffic. Number 1's seen that one before, trying to get around.
Yeah, we're going to have to take a good amount of time once the checker flies tonight to kind of break down what's going on with all of the chase guys. Again, very easy to find them on track. They've got yellow numbers on the sides and the tops, and you can also see those yellow numbers at the top of your screen, but they have really gotten intertwined in the group of 9 on the lead lap and the group of 10 that are a couple of laps down, but still on the racetrack. Battle for the race lead, though. Here it comes. Ashton Crowder trying to get back what we thought might have been his and easily earlier on. The biggest gap we've seen for the race lead was held by that 27. It was a 2-second gap before the first trip down to the pit lane. The 27 now in second. Aaron Bennett's been leading us back to green on these very short stints since our green flag run of nearly 100 laps consecutive got broken up. But that 27 is there. Expect a move.
51 laps to go here. Number 3's doing a good job defending his position. I'd say that 27 really has the better truck right now, has the better poise going into the corners, but he's got to get around him. And that 27's done this before. He's just sat there on the prowl, waiting for something to happen. He did this to Jacoby, and he never had the opportunity to really do anything. And with 50 laps to go, I'd say that he's doing it again. He's not forcing an issue, which is a really professional move. it's really something, it's kind of a classy move, I'd say, that you're just kind of waiting for him to make the move. And it almost makes you feel worse of a driver if you actually make that mistake and he gets around you, because then you feel real bad to actually like chop him down in the next corner or to do a crossover move or something like that. So really, these two drivers are driving as hard as they can, but I think as classy as you're going to see it.
And not only that, but it helps him out too. It takes a lot to back it off, knowing you're not in a great position to make a move and then save it. In the end, it's an end game that benefits you, but I think it takes a lot of experience. And those drill spill guys definitely have taken a win or two here on the service before, no doubt. So Crowder knows what he's doing. Jacoby is now closing back in, though. Bennett and Crowder are actually both pulling away. Remember, it was the Crowder and Jacoby fight earlier. Well, now Crowder's backed it off, staying behind Bennett. Bennett, I think, out of these three, the slower of those trucks, but Jacoby's now closing in. He's picked up 2/10 and 2/10 alone now that lap by itself. So if Crowder doesn't get going, he's going to have to deal with that one again. And Jacoby looked better than Crowder earlier tonight on the long runs.
Yeah, and it's starting to get to that long run feel, but you got to remember that there is going to be one more stop for all these guys except for the 39 of Dwayne Dunn. And you just have to keep that in the back of your head, that I don't think that these guys are going to even be able to stretch it. I don't think it's possible. These fuel cells are just too small. And I think about 60 laps is the most you're going to be able to get. And they've pitted well before that. And even though they have the caution, I don't think it's going to be there. But you're seeing the 3 and the 27. Look at that. He's going to suck up right there. Get right behind him. He's not going to make the move. But that 27 is getting closer and closer to making an actual move off the corner. He's the 27's really got him. He's got to be able to figure out a way to actually maneuver himself around and get the pass done and try and get it done in one corner or one straightaway, because if he has to put up a fight, Jacoby's going to be right there. And honestly, he's actually getting there on his own.
Maybe Jamie Walker in the 17 sees a small window into this, although he just lost about 1/10 that time by. So I really think it is going to be Bennett, Crowder, and Jacoby, the group of drivers who's going to settle this thing out. But again, I still don't think that these guys can make it to the end on the fuel they have on board. So when is somebody going to come down pit road? We're in the window, but remember what got the 27 and the one in trouble earlier is they were doing the short pit. Is it the best as far as maximizing time? And absolutely, but the risk associated with that was losing your lead lap status. Based on that, I'm not sure if the 27 and 1 are willing to make a short pit call here and lose the lead lap status again, because maybe in the back of their head they're kind of thinking the same thing's going to happen to them.
I think what you got to do as a driver is you got to split this green flag run in half, not from the last time you pitted. And look at that. 27 just lost it right there in the corner or something, or let him buy it. I don't think that's a move. That's an interesting deal between the 27 and the 1. I cannot believe he just let him buy, or just he must have completely misjudged it. But the 1 gets by him fairly easily, and the 1's going to try and hunt down number 3 of Aaron Bennett. Perhaps the 27 playing mind games, but I don't know. That's an interesting one, Evan.
Just continuing to scan through, drivers are coming down pit road. Steve Herring going to come down and pit from the 18th position. So again, it's a waiting game. Can you pit? Sure. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody like a Walker or a Simley did it again. For both of those drivers, they're chase drivers. So the last thing they want to do is trap themselves a lap down. And I think that, even Gillenwater and Dunn aren't going to do it either, because they're chase guys. And is the risk versus the reward worth it? I don't think so. I think you'd rather, instead of taking a gamble to try to go fit the 4th, or make it a gamble to maybe get a spot, you either get a spot if your strategy call is right, or if your strategy call is wrong, you could lose 10, 15 spots. So I think that these 3 guys up front are all going to pit at the same time. There goes Jacoby, though. He got let to the race lead by Aaron Bennett.
Yeah, and the 27 came down pit road that time, and I do believe Jacoby is maybe going to come down next time, maybe the time after that. So new race leader, number 1 of Jacoby, but it is not too far. 17 of Jamie Walker, he's going to come down pit road this time. And maybe what Jacoby is thinking is he's going to stay out, maybe hope for that caution, but at the same time, you have to try and maximize your tire wear and that strategy, as the 3 charge is going to stay out as well. When do these guys come in? When are they going to try try and maximize that. 3's coming in right now, and he's going to try and make it down to pit speed. He might not make it. He does.
Jacoby's in a tough spot now because he didn't follow immediately down pit road like has really been the strategy all night long to this point. Once the 27 of Crowder came down pit road, he didn't follow him right down pit road. So here comes Jacoby, one machine on the back of him. You can see the difference in speed. If Jacoby were to pit now, though, I think that he loses big. He's losing time every single time by. Just look how quick that 27 is pulling away from him on the fresh tires. But Jacoby's going to have to commit to staying out for at least 5 laps of difference, then pit. And sure, he's losing time now, but he's on the lead lap, so if a caution flag comes out, he's okay. And the 27 Ashton Crowder just went from 2 laps down to 1 lap down, so the 27 would really take a big L if a yellow were to come out. But as well, Jacoby's going to have to find a time to pit so that he can come down pit road with enough time left in this race where then he will be able to use his tire benefit to the end, but not wait too long to the point where that number 27 gets too far away. And there's no equation to calculate when that is.
Yeah, you also got to think about that. He's the number 1 car doesn't have to deal with traffic, and everybody else who's coming down the pit road, they will have to deal with that traffic. So perhaps that's also going to the mind of the one truck. But he's also getting passed, and when you get passed, even when it's lap traffic, you got to think to yourself, maybe I should come in here soon. It's just one of those deals. But the longer he stays out, of course, the harder it's going to be for him. But he is doing what I said I would do in this situation and split this green flag run. The farthest he's going to go down is 5th place on the leaderboard if a caution comes out. So, I mean, what do you have to lose if you can try maybe split this green flag run? The other drivers, they're splitting. When the last time they came in, he's going to split it, I think, here in a few laps. It's going to be around lap 72, I think, when he's going to actually come in. That's around the midway of this green flag run. So he's going all for broke if we go green all the way, and I think that's the way the one would rather have it.
Again, I think it is the conservative call to stay out, but again, the question is, how long do you stay out to try to strike a balance? How about a battle for 3rd, though? Robert Gillenwater under attack by Dwayne Dunn. It's about 8.5 seconds off of your battle for the race lead. But the 39 is there on the inside of the racetrack, side by side. He'll pull it at turn 4. That's where the driver on the outside really has to feather it. I think Dunn should be able to get it this time at 1 and 2, and he does.
And Dunn's the guy who pit right before we went to green flag racing, the only guy on the lead lap. He's still the last guy on the lead lap to come down pit on the lead lap, I should just say. And Gillenwater's going to come down pit road, and that 39 is probably going to try and stay out the whole time, and he might actually benefit if that. I tell you, if it rolls that way, he's going to be a huge winner at the end of this. But at the same time, it's going to be really risky. 4's coming down pit road, and we're just going to have a few more guys that have to come down pit road, including the 22.
Number of trucks on the lead lap has dropped a little bit since we last checked in, but still about 22 or 23 drivers actively on track. A very stark contrast to the only 3 that are being scored on the lead lap. And a big part of this is a 100-plus lap green flag run early on, and then a caution flag in the middle of cycle of pit stops. But again, Jacoby, a race leader, he is not in the clear. He still needs to come down pit road as we close in on 15 laps to go. Foudy not a concern. He's 5.5 seconds back. Dwayne Dunn was just able to get that number 3 spot. He's 8.5 seconds back. So Jacoby is racing against the 27 of Ashton Crowder, and as well in that battle, the 3 of Aaron Bennett. Something we should note is that Bennett is actually in front of Crowder for 6th and 7th, and that would be the position to cycle through to the race lead.
And all the while, you got to think of who is actually going to be able to emerge through. You still have Tommy Ryan 1 lap down. Michael Priester, he's in 5th right now. And then Aaron Bennett, he was your leader at the time of when he came down pit road. He's 6th place. And that driver right now, he's in turns number 2 coming out right now. And where's your leader at? Well, he's all the way on the front straightaway crossing the start-finish line right now. So he's basically half of the track ahead of him still. And I'd have to say that it's almost already too late for that number 1 truck unless he can really bank on catching these guys later on in the run. But I'd say if you're trying to catch them with the tires later on, you get new tires, you get 4 fresh ones, and you go back out there and you're trying to pass them, they're not going to make it easy on you at all, Evan. It's under 25 laps now, or it's 25 laps to go this time, and I don't care who you are, you're going to block until the race is over, especially at this point.
Yeah, it's not Supercross. We're not pulling over for anybody. You got 25 laps to go. You got to keep on it all the way through, to the end of this thing. And again, there's still battles going on for position with lap guys, which can get involved with some of the race leaders and so on and so forth. And it is difficult for Jacoby to kind of gauge what's going on between Bennett and Crowder. He can pull up his standings on his screen, and unless he's got somebody on top of the pit box for him, he can't really tell intervals between the two. He's not going to get an interval because if he looks up on his in-sim scoring at the standings, it'll show Bennett and then Crowder just -1. He can't really tell where they are on track, where they are in relation to each other. Crowder has been closing in on Bennett by a good margin, 3/10 and 4/10 about each lap. So that in and of itself would be a good battle over the race lead. But I think if you're Jacoby, you have to come down pit road because, again, you need enough laps on those fresh tires to make up the gap. But I think the one's starting to stay at a little bit too long for my preference.
I do too. I think it's. I don't think it's gonna. I think it's just gonna be too late. I mean, he's got to come down soon, or maybe it's too late to come down. He's gonna try and just stretch the fuel. He doesn't really have much to lose. He's not in the championship run, so I'd say if you're him and you think you can make it all the way with the fuel you got and you've saved enough, you might as well try it. But I'd say Iron Man would be the thing that I'd call him. But it's just gonna be. It's just mathematically almost impossible for that number 1 truck to make it all the way. And with 20 laps to go, those guys came and pitted almost 30 laps ago. So it's getting really close to that margin of you just have to stay out and hope for a caution, I think, at this point. Because everyone's going to come down pit road again for tires. That's no doubt. But I just cannot believe that one truck is I can't believe his strategy, because either he's going to make it or he's not. And either way it happens, I won't be able to believe that he stayed out.
And just taking a look back to find out the last time the one and Jason Jacoby pitted, and sure, we've had caution flag laps, but he last pitted at lap 127. So I'm impressed that he's even made it to this point. Again, I think the furthest we've really seen anybody go to that is about 56 laps, and even with the yellows, you'll come up about 10 laps short, I would have to think. If he can go these next 18 laps, the one's got to go through some sort of additional inspection. But hey, we have seen time and time again somebody pull a crazy strategy out of the hat. But I feel like if it was a viable strategy, there would be at least somebody else doing the strategy with him. He didn't even come down pit road and top off on those 2 yellows since he last pitted. If he did that, all right, maybe you'll be able to convince me, but I don't see it happening. And the one had to stay out. Once he missed the lap after Crowder pitted, he had to stay out and commit to the strategy. But I think that has now passed, and he's going to need a caution. And again, all of this kind of plays back to that midway point in this race where he got into an incident with somebody, brought it a yellow, he trapped himself a lap down, and he just came down to the pit lane and gave it up.
Yeah, he had to. There's no way he could stay out that long, and we're just going to have to see whether it pays off or not. I mean, it's going to be a really tough deal to see if he can really march his way through the field, but that leaves Seth Foudy to be in the lead, and he is a guy who topped off a couple times during those caution flag laps. We even talked about it a couple times. So if anyone's going to be able to do it now, it's going to be between the 22 and the 39, and I know they're both saving like demons right now. And I think it'd be even impressive for them to make it to the finish, but I think they have a way better shot of it. I remember the 22 coming down that last time we came down under caution flag conditions, but nonetheless, these guys made a win-win decision, I think, in my opinion, coming down to top off, because it's such a gray area. If you come down pit road, you're going to be at the end of the lead lap, but it wasn't that long. And if a caution comes out, well, you come down anyways. You're back where you started. You weren't in the top 5 anyways. But if it goes green all the way, you stay out. Even if there's a caution right now, everyone still has to come down and get tires to be competitive. I think it's just a great strategy by both drivers, and I think no matter which way it works, it's going to pay off for them if they can make it to the end.
Well, Foudy and Dunn, they've got plenty of time to take it easy, and Dwayne Dunn, pit road this time, is not going to be able to make it. But just look where Aaron Bennett is in 3rd, and look where Seth Foudy is in the race lead. The 22 is about half a straightaway behind Aaron Bennett, or everything but half a straightaway in front of him. It's a 22-second gap, but here comes the battle for third, which may very well become the battle for the overall race win. The 27 all night long. We've been talking about that. He's good on the long runs. Contact with the 3, and both drivers into the outside fence. Both of them going to get them straight, but Crowder and Bennett contact for third. They both keep going, and the 27 gets the spot in the end.
Yeah, and that's not what you want to see for a championship driver, is a non-championship guy get into you. And it's a good lick for both drivers on the outside, but I think both are going to be fine. But if you're Seth Foudy and you have a spotter and someone tells you that, you immediately just coast, I think, the rest of the way. And these guys aren't going to really lose any positions, but I think that really is going to be on the bad side of the number 3, especially for the fact that if Seth does cut down pit road or runs out of fuel after this is over, Ashton Crowder is going to win the race off of that move. And whether it was on purpose or not, he's going to have to go back to that. And later on down the season, 27 is going to have to remember that as the 3 keeps rolling for a championship. So definitely keep that in the memory bank, as I know the 3 will.
Yeah, and he's expressing his displeasure over the radio with a couple of comments on the live channel there. But in all honesty, I think Ashton Crowder was going to get him out of the way because he was, a straightaway behind him 20 laps ago. So I think the 27 was much faster. That wouldn't be my preferred way to do it, and I don't think that would have been his go-to move. But nonetheless, it is what happened. And here comes Seth Foudy. He's not going to be able to make it all the way. Comes to pit road with 9 laps to go, which means that Ashton Crowder, shortly after contact with the 3 of Aaron Bennett for third, is going to cycle to the top spot, but the 17 of Walker not going to let him do so unchallenged. How about that entry? The 17 challenging back in the battle for the race lead. Crossover out of 4. He loosened them up. Here we go. 8 laps to go, and he puts him in the fence.
Oh, man. Once again, 27 involved in an incident. And you know who this is going to benefit is maybe the 22, if he can get those tires and get back out there really quick. And you got to look at for where he is on the track, and he's still down pit road. And if he gets out there here soon, they're crossing the start-finish line very shortly. And both those trucks are definitely injured. So nothing that they can really do about it. They're going to pass him right now, race leader on the apron. All 3 of those top 3 drivers have been in humongous contact the last few laps, and if that 22 truck can get up to speed, maybe get up to them, he might be a factor. But Scott Simley's up there too, can't forget about that. And look at Dwayne Dunn right behind them as well. He's not battling for position, but he is going to be a factor here.
Yeah, the 27's got to pick his battles. He's got to let that 39 get away and get around him, and he does. Dwayne Dunn going to get by him in 8th position. He unlaps himself the old-fashioned way. Final driver on the lead lap now with that move. I'm not sure if Walker's going to be quick enough to get to the 27. Obviously, Crowder contact with Bennett earlier, and I think that last bit of contact with the 17 was actually initiated by Jamie Walker, because Walker got on his left rear, loosened him up at a 4, and 27 got back into him. I think that the 17, though, kind of has to accept responsibility for starting that one. The 27 hopes that he finished it, but not comfortable with that 4 truck length gap this time by. Going to take lap number 196 and 5 to go.
Looking out of the corner, though, it did look like the 17 went to go to the bottom, and then the 27 went to block. So I wouldn't say it was all, this is just my point of view, of course. I wouldn't say it's 100% the 17's fault. I think it maybe was just good racing. But these guys still have a long race to go, 5 laps to go, 4 at the line, and there's still a lot there. I mean, there's still a lot of racing that is to be happening, and there's about 3/10 between the first 2, 8/10 between them. Scott Simley.
Oh, he's in the fence. 27 in the wall. Lost a lot of speed. Here comes the 17, and contact. He'll fence him for the race lead. The 17 with the shunt and run. Jamie Walker going to go to the race lead.
Oh, wow. Talk about definitely getting back at him, if that's how he felt. And I think the 3 tried to take advantage of the 17 right there, but that, I think, was a message from the 17 that whatever happened on the front straightaway, he was not happy with, and definitely sent him there. Now it's a battle between these 2 up front, and it's gonna be a whale of a battle. We've seen some interesting things the last few laps, and the 27's been a lot of a part of it. But now the 3, the 17, who were also a part of those battles earlier, 2 laps to go. What are they going to do?
Yeah, and nobody's going to be shy to make the bump because they've been bumping each other on and off all this time. The 22, though, going to be a factor in this one. Seth Foudy from a lap down to the inside of Aaron Bennett. It cost the 3 a lot of time. That time in 1 and 2. Penultimate time to quarter number 3. Can Walker hang on? Came into tonight at a 15-point deficit. Missed the opening race of this round. Had to get enough points in 2 out of the 3 races to make the top 9. Max points 1 week ago with the win. Trying to do everything he can here tonight from Dover. 3 truck lengths to the good. Bennett grazes the fence, giving it everything he has. One last-ditched effort to corners 3 and 4. But he is going to come up short. Jamie Walker, checkered flag, your winner from Dover.
And back to back, nonetheless. If you're going to miss a week, say that you want to do your very best to make the chase, the one thing you would say to do is to win both races. And he did that. He's now won 4 races on the season, and 2 of them have been in the postseason or in the championship portion of the season. So huge run by that 17 truck. It was definitely exciting last 10 laps to say the least, and we've seen some clean racing from this league, and that got real dirty at the end, but man, was it exciting.
Listen, it got short track at the end, and I love that. These guys were going at it, and again, you can look at either altercation. Did the 17 hit the 27? Did the 27 hit the 17? Vice versa. Was it the 3 or was it the 27? Was it the 27 and not the 3? In either case, at the end of the day, Jamie Walker and Aaron Bennett are chase guys, and they are not going to take anything from a non-chase guy. And I think as a non-chaser, you can't be surprised on how they reacted.
Oh, no, and I think for the 17, he realized that this could be the end of his chase if he gets blocked all the way to the apron and doesn't do something big. But also, Ashton Crowder had to really pay for it, I think, for hitting the outside wall as hard as he did. He just absolutely clobbered the outside wall into that block almost reminded me of Carl Edwards at Homestead this past year. Didn't take him all the way to the apron, but still went all the way down as if he wasn't there in turn number 1, and definitely was a little bit reminiscent to that.
I think that, the 3 of Bennett got the short end of the straw in the first bit of contact, and then I think that Walker did definitely play a part in what went on from that point on with the 27 of Crowder, but like I said, those chase guys are not going to take any of that SHU fill in the blank in the end, and I don't think that you can really put a blame on either guy, and I'm sure that everybody but Jamie Walker who got the win. I'm sure Bennett likes the P2, and I'm sure Ashton Crowder's not really happy with the P4, because again, as a non-chaser, he just wants to come in here and get the win. I've got no complaints. I love that.
It was awesome. I think unless that a chase driver was taken out and on purpose or anything like that, that'd be the only way I wouldn't like it. But that was exciting, and there's a little bit of drama and a little bit of I think post-race exchanges and conversations that'll need to happen. But on our side of the things, that's awesome to watch, awesome to be a part of, and really it presented good racing. I mean, if you're not at least trying to win the race like all 3 of those drivers did at the end, what are you fighting for? Why aren't you trying? And I think all 3 of those drivers were showing that they were trying to just boss each other around on the track, and push came to shove in a literal way, and well, you saw what happened.
Yeah, I think if you're fighting for a championship in the case of Walker and Bennett, and you're fighting for a race win in the case of Ashton Crowder, if somebody hits you and you don't hit them back, then you have no right to be racing for a championship because you don't got what it takes. That was fantastic stuff. The good news for us and the good news for you is we're going to chat with him in just a moment. Jamie Walker is your race winner following a wild finish tonight from the Monster Mile. And when we come back post-race, we're going to Victory Lane talk with Walker and your top finishers. We'll let you know who makes the top 9 cutoff and goes to round number 2. You're watching the United Sim Racing, the BNC Lawn and Landscaping Truck Series, and LSRTV and iRacing Live.
So cool, yeah. Nate, what are you working on at the moment?
So I'm working on the animation for the game. We're working on getting pit crews fully developed, and that involves a lot of moving parts. So I'm going in and making sure that each moving part can dovetail smoothly into the next one, so that when you pull in for a pit stop, it looks like the real thing, as opposed to a bunch of jumbled pieces that suddenly stop and then go and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's so cool, but why aren't you working on the tire model? Nothing?
Back live from the Dover International Speedway. We're going to go trackside, talk with your top finishers following tonight's Dover 200 in a moment. First, let's take an opportunity to take a look at our full race results tonight, brought to you by B&C Lawn and Landscaping Service, LLC. Based in Frankfort, Delaware, B&C. Check them out for all your landscaping needs, including turf care, mulching, snow removal, and more. They are professional, licensed, and insured. And you can find out more information by contacting Aaron Bennett today at bc_lawn_and_landscaping at yahoo.com for more information. Proud title sponsor of the B&C Lawn and Landscaping Truck Series. Your race winner tonight is Jamie Walker. Aaron Bennett comes home second, Scott Simley third, and Ashton Crowder in fourth. We will go trackside with them in a moment. Scott Formosa is able to come out with the top five tonight. Jason Jacoby, Robert Gillenwater, and Dwayne Dunn through 6, 7, and 8 come home at a lead lap as well. And the only two drivers to finish within one lap of the guys up front, P9 Seth Foudy and P10 Michael Priester.
Yeah, majority of the rest of the guys were multiple laps down, with Michael Tommy Ryan finishing in 11th place. Michael Waters finishes in that 12th position. Shane Hother finishes in the 13th position. Michael Atkins Jr. rebounds to a 14th position. Bobby Harmon, 15th. Justin Kleiber, 16th position goes to him. 17th goes to Tristan Beats. Greg Mall finishes 18th. 19th goes to Jeff Ryan. And Steve Herring will finish out in the 20th position.
Skylar Grissom comes home 21st. Again, these guys, you're talking 64-plus laps down and out of the stand. But Justin Michael, who started third, comes home 22nd. Ralph Vander Forsty, Ricky Howell Jr., and Michael Waite through the top 25. Randy Oakham, 26. Dwight Beverly, tough break after qualifying top 10. He comes home 27th. Randy Tessar in 28th. Dylan Phillips in 29th. And Brian Kutza in 30th. That's a look top to bottom at your LSRTV full race results. Jamie Walker did everything that he possibly could. And that's all that we could ask out of the 17 when we found out that he was going to miss the open round of the championship. Back-to-back for the 17. Jamie, congratulations on the win. It's all you could do was get max points. That's what you did tonight, though. Had a little bit of flair at the end in the process of getting there.
I don't know what was going on. I had the faster truck there at the end when those two got into it, and he just flat out wrecked me twice. So I gave it right back to him.
I think I didn't use bump and run. I think I called it the shunted run at the end, and it worked out for you guys in that 17 machine. You get the win. Aaron got right back on you there, though, close at the end of this one, and gave you a run for the money. But you're able to put that 17 in victory lane. We're still waiting on the points to be official. Obviously, we chatted with you at Richmond about how you weren't going to be able to make a start at Chicago. And if there was any round where missing a start was going to be plausible, it would have been this one, because 9 drivers are going to be able to make it in. It'll get tougher as the cuts go to 6 and then 3 as we continue in this championship. But all you could do was win. You won at New Hampshire. You won at Dover back-to-back in the first 20 races of the season. You guys got trapped a lot with second and third place finishes. You're turning it up at the right moment. We don't know yet if it was enough. You came in still 15 points behind the final cut line. But just talk about the performance that you guys put on these last 2 weeks.
All in all, I can't complain. I mean, I'm happy for what I've done. I mean, granted, I believe I am 1 point short for making it, but I can't complain. Like I said, I'm just going to go out there and have fun. I got some new equipment that I just got today. I'm going to be installing that. So, yeah, I'm just going to have a lot of fun.
And I noticed the new truck as well on track. It took me a couple of times to pick you up.
Yeah, no, I had to throw you guys off a little bit. I wanted to be under the radar, you know?
Well, you got the job done. You were up in the excitement late, so you weren't as quiet as maybe flying under the radar may be defined as. But even if you guys aren't going to be able to continue on, by all indications, you're running the best that you have all season long. 3 wins in the last 4 starts. the objective then going forward? Something a lot that we were talking about, the interactions between, you and Bennett and some of the other guys there dealing with the 27 late is he's not a chase guy. You guys are a chase guy, and the chase guys aren't going to take anything for the non-chase guys. So if you find yourself then on the other side of that spectrum, what's going to be the objective and how are you going to go after those wins?
Well, if I have a shot, I'm going to go for it. But, I'm not going to drive like that and take somebody else out of contention. So, I'm just going to keep driving the way I do, and that's the way I do it.
You came into this season, I know, with high expectations, and you gave it everything that we thought you would have. More 2015 champion Jamie Walker. We're still waiting on official word if he's going to make it into the next round, but Jamie, we'll let you take off. Thanks for hanging out. The sponsors, the shout-outs, and all of this good, folks. It's becoming routine, this conversation, the last couple of weeks. Who makes it happen?
I wish I could do it more often. This is getting a lot of fun. But no, I want to thank everybody over at USR, everybody in Young Guns, all my fans out there that you guys presented to me. So I'm thankful for all you guys that are watching. And I'm sorry if I came up short, but I'm going to put on one heck of a show the remainder of the season.
That is your race winner tonight from Dover, Jamie Walker. Jamie, always a pleasure, sure. Congratulations. Best of luck. We'll cross our fingers until we get the official word. No doubt that we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
That is your race winner here tonight from Dover. Aaron Bennett came home just a couple of truck lengths shy of the race win tonight. P2 for the driver of the number 3 came into tonight nice and tight on that transfer spot. 6 points to the good. A P2 going to be enough to get him into the round of 9. Trackside with your second place finisher is Coop.
Yeah, I've caught up with the number 3 of Aaron Bennett. I think the first thing we'll talk to you about is the incident on lap 187. Crowder comes up the track just a little bit, gets a little tail happy, and gets into you, and you guys have an altercation on the track. And just go through us what happened from your perspective.
Well, there wasn't really much I could do. I gave him the inside. I took 2 tires on the last stop, and just to try and gain track position is the only way I was going to beat him. I didn't want to be on even tires. I just thought it had been racing for second. This is the only chance I had. And it was getting loose, and I gave him lane and a half on the inside, but I guess you got to give him 2. So that's how I feel about that. But other than that, all in all, I had a good night. So I'm glad Jamie Walker, teammate, got the win. Sucks he missed the chase by a point, but what are you going to do?
Yeah, going forward for you and you guys, you do make the chase. It does appear a second place and a second place at Chicagoland. That didn't do so well, or as well, I should say, last week, but it does look like you guys are going to be able to pull it off. Unofficially, of course, as we'll say, but we'll see next week. And of course, we'll always keep an update on the site. But for you guys going forward, next few tracks is going to be 3 tracks, and which one really kind of comes up for you as a track that you're really good at? Charlotte, Charlotte, Talladega, and Kansas are the next 3. Any of those that really pop out for you that you're really wanting to go out and reach for?
Kansas, I'm not fast there, but I always finish well there. So I guess, and then Charlotte, I'm always good there, usually top 5. And then Talladega, that's a crapshoot, but I got an idea to avoid all the mayhem there. So we're gonna use that strategy probably.
A team secret that may be or may not be revealed until it actually happens. Ooh, a little bit of conspiracy from Austin Coop. No, I'm just kidding. We'll have to see as that comes along. But we have to get to Charlotte first, and before we let you go, of course, as always, we'll let you have the shout outs and sponsors and whoever makes it happen for you. Give your chance to have the little mic.
I'd just like to thank my teammates Jamie, Greg, and George. I also thank the sponsor on the hood. Business partner Garrett Casal for letting us do this deal here on Saturday. It's a lot of fun, and pretty much all I can say. And, thank the guys that come out for good racing.
That's Aaron Bennett, the BNC Lawn Landscaping Chevrolet. He finishes in that second place position. Well, it looks like we're going to go down just a little bit more down the pit lane and get to Scott Simley, who Evan has picked up.
Yeah, a lot of the post-race conversation is about all of the excitement towards the end of this one. Scott Simley kind of under the radar, nice and quiet to the end of this one. And at 68, Toyota Scott might have been able to do something with just a few more laps. You come home in 3rd tonight. It's a great result. The truck was good. You started top 10. You worked on it all the way through. Congratulations on the finish. Talk us through the night from behind the wheel.
We got a couple laps down there with pitting, and the caution came out. We were on pit road, so I think we were 2 laps down. So, we had to gain those. Luckily, we were able to gain those spots back, get on the lead lap. And then I think around like 1:30, there was another caution that came out, and after only about 4 or 5 laps. And yeah, I knew it would happen right behind me. So I figured it was worth it to, with this small amount of cars on the lead lap, I'd go in and get new tires. You'd hear even 5 laps would make a big difference. And then I think we had like 64 laps left, and we could only make it about 53 tops. So we knew we were 10 laps short on fuel. So at that point, I just split her up and did a couple 32-lap runs. And it was close and hairy at the end there. I saw with Ashton and Jamie and Aaron. Another lap. But the other thing was lap traffic. When everybody got caught up there and, traffic was spread out and there was lap down cars. It's pretty crazy, but yeah, for sure another half a lap. Probably could have had a W, but hey, I think the last 3 races is 3-2-3, so we're close. We just got to keep working on it.
Obviously, tonight has to be, a pick-me-up to be up in the conversation. And, good news is you came in all the way at the top of the championship standing. So, while it wasn't mathematically locked, 22 points, it would have had to be quite the catastrophic night for you guys to drop out. And the top 3 is going to lock up as you guys advance as the top seed. Not going to matter next week, but at least for now, championship leader after the opening round of the Chase. I know has to feel good. Let's talk about those races, though. Coming up in the second round of this championship, we've got Charlotte, Dega, and Kansas. 2 rather kind of with the norm tracks, 1.5 milers, but also Dega's in the mix of things, and that could really get things out of control, especially when it's going to get tougher and tougher to advance. Now only the top 6 going to get an invite to round 3.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Dega's, that's rolling dice, and just trying to be consistent, stay up there in the points, and try to be safe. And I like Charlotte. That's one of my favorite tracks. And Kansas, see how it happens with the new build and see how Kansas is. It's usually that higher line. But, I'm excited. We're close. Like I said, we just keep working on it and hopefully pull off some W's.
Definitely flexing the muscles, though, here in the opener round. Safely into the round of 9. Scott Sibley comes home with the 3rd place finish tonight. Scott, the sponsors, the shout-outs. Anybody you want to say hi to?
I got to thank friends and family again. You guys, of course, always do a great job. Hippies Paint Shop, Rockford Fosgate. That's about it.
Well, we wish you the best of luck going forward. If the rest of your championship is anything like the last couple of weeks where you guys are in for a long haul. So again, congrats, Scott. Hopefully you guys can figure this thing out coming into the round of 9. Hopefully we'll chat soon again. Good luck.
Thanks, Evan.
So that is the driver who comes home in 3rd tonight. We've got one more, though, for you based on 1st and 2nd tonight. Might as well talk to 4th. Ashton Crowder was a part of the excitement at the end, and he got the short end of the straw. Comes home at 4th tonight. Still a good result, nonetheless. Trackside with Coop.
Yeah, I've caught up with that number 27 truck of Ashton Crowder. Crowder, you had a really good night tonight. Started from the pole, and I think the first thing we want to talk to you about, of course, is basically the last 10 laps of what happened from your point of view. It looked like you had gotten to the number 3 and into it looks like the 17 got into you after you guys had already gotten together on the front straightaway.
Yeah, those last 10 laps I wish I could take back because I did so many things wrong. I made so many mistakes and just stupid stuff. I mean, I've done this before at Phoenix, as you guys probably know, where I did something that I shouldn't have done in the heat of the moment. I went for it, and it turned out badly. But off of 2 there with Aaron, that first incident. Dang, I had 4 incidents there. That's terrible. But off of 2, I was on 30 lap old tires. I got tight, and what I should have done there, I should have lifted, let off, and just tried to get him in the next corner because I was faster than him. I think I pulled him in by 5 seconds and still had better tires than him somehow. I think it was because he was running up higher in the corners, which burns the right front off a little bit more. Then I got on his bumper, and it just almost sent me, and then I got into him on the front straightaway, and then I don't even remember what I did to Jamie Walker, but I just know it was stupid. But I just want to apologize to them for that. I know they're in the chase. I know they're racing for a lot more than I am. I mean, I haven't even been here since actually the last Dover race, so it's been a long time. But, you know, I wanted to get a win so bad because, you know, I just do. I like to win, obviously. I mean, on here basically all day on iRacing.com trying to get better, try to get faster, but just made a lot of mistakes there in the last 10 laps, and it ruined my race and almost ruined Jamie and Aaron's race, and can't stress enough how sorry I am to them for that.
Now, you did talk about how you were coming back from a pretty long hiatus, over 10 races, and you were doing extremely well. I think all of us were pretty surprised to see the dominance the first half of the race by you and the number one of Jason Jacoby. Talk with us about that battle too. I mean, you guys ran really clean for the first about 100 laps with each other, more or less from 50 to 100 up until a little bit of issue with lap traffic. But up until then, like, your truck and his truck were basically the class of the field.
Yeah, me and Jason, you know, we're teammates on the drill spill, so basically I just had a plan with him. If he let me stay out in front of him for the first about 120 laps, then you know, just save tires, and then we'll wait it out, and that's what we did. But as soon as we went away from that plan, I think caution came out, and then I don't know how, but we got put a lap, or I do know how, it was pit stops, but got put a lap down. Then something happened with Jason. I think he stayed a lap down because I got the free pass, and then something happened. He was in third, I was in second, started going, and got in front of him, and then, you know, last time laps happened, and goodness, once again, I'm sorry, Aaron and Jamie. Yeah, we just saved our tires the whole first half of the race. Tried to do it in the second half, but cautions didn't play out to our favor, and messed us up there. But yeah, thanks to him for staying with that plan for so long.
Well, we do want to thank you for giving you a moment of your time. And as always, before we let you go, any sponsor shout outs or any calls to anybody who makes it happen for you on that number 27?
I want to thank my mom, who's actually up in Virginia right now at Motor Mile Speedway, watching Lee Pulliam, the number 5, win races. I want to thank RacerBoost.com, graphic solutions, do hero cards, t-shirts, anything like that they do, the graphic design. I want to thank Real Picks. I want to thank the team, the Drill Spill, Blaze Crawford, Justin Listenby, Jason Jacoby, Caleb Hoffman, DJ Lyon, everybody over there, and I want to thank you guys for putting on such a great broadcast.
Well, there you have it. Number 27, Ashton Crowder comes home P4 after his little hiatus there, about 10-week hiatus, and that's going to wrap it up for interviews, Evan. And I'd say we got a lot of different mixed emotions here in the booth, but I think altogether it's all about the man on top, Jamie Walker, who wins 2 in a row, but it may not actually make the chase.
Yeah, and we have what is the official points as of now. Again, barring any sort of post-race penalties or anything like that, which are very rare and we don't suspect, we have the names of your 9 drivers who are going to go into the rounded on in this USR chase for the championship. Scott Simley, Seth Foudy, Aaron Bennett, Robert Gillenwater, and Shane Hawthor, the top 5, make it in nice and easy. Michael Waters is your 6th transferee. Greg Mall comes home 7th. Dwayne Dunn going to transfer in the 8th spot. And the final transfer position going to go to Stephen Herring, who was able to kind of close things out here tonight late, come back and get a 20th place result, which is why he dropped so far down, but edges out Jamie Walker by 1 point, 1,091 to 1,090. So 2 back-to-back wins, short by 1 point. He could not physically get any more points. It just was not in the cards. So Walker, Justin Kleiber, and Justin Michael going to be going home and are eliminated from the championship tonight.
Yeah, and that even when you think about Steve Hanharing having an issue earlier on in the race, you could think about Jamie Walker maybe being able to capitalize off of the bad luck that the 98 had. But even with that, what the 98 did was stay out there and kept racing. I do believe he was on track for quite some time, even after he had his issues, up until I think about 153 was his last lap on track, and then had to dip down pit road and never came back out. And so whatever the issues happened at that point, it was basically over for the 98. And but it wasn't enough. 98 basically stayed out there as long as he felt was necessary, and decided to come down pit road and end it, and kept the 1 point differential.
And I'll tell you what, this race finished nearly a half hour ago. We could talk all night. So we'll let people take off and wrap things up here. The opening round of the championship now complete. 9 drivers move on, and 3 drivers go home. We've got a new round getting kicked off in 1 week's time. That was also wrapping up what's been a long week for us here on LSRTV at iRacing Live, and we hope that if you maybe just tuned in for the first time, you join us again sometime. You can find more information on our website at www.livesimracing.com. You can click on the schedule tab there, find a full Outlook broadcast schedule on where you could find us, and you could also stay up to date with us. Make sure you catch us live at youtube.com/LSRTV. Give us a follow on Twitter, that's at LSRTV, and also like us on Facebook at facebook.com/LSRTV official. Until next time, on behalf of the entire team at LSRTV LLC, for the folks behind the scenes, for the folks who make it happen topside all week long, and for the broadcast crew tonight, for myself, Evan Pasoko, for Austin Coop and Cisco Scaramuzo, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. Congratulate Jamie Walker, and congratulate your 9 championship advancees. We will see you for the first race of the second half of this championship next week, right here on LSRTV at iRacing Live. Charlotte, Dega, Kansas, due up, and we will see you next time.